going on, everybody? Joseph here for Worldwide Sport Updates, your podcast, your news, your local community. Good morning, everybody. What's going on, everybody? Joseph here for Worldwide Sport Updates, your podcast, your news, your local community. What's going on, everybody? Joseph here for Worldwide Sport Updates, your podcast, your news, your local community. What's going on, everybody? Joseph here for Worldwide Sport Updates, your podcast, your news, your local community. What's going on, everybody? Joseph here for Worldwide Sport Updates, your podcast, your news, your local community. What's going on, everybody? Joseph here for Worldwide Sport Updates, your podcast, your news, your local community. What's going on, everybody? Joseph here for Worldwide Sport Updates, your podcast, your news, your local community. Good morning, and thank you for joining us here on this Sunday, September 25th, 2022. Your host, Joseph Hadid here, Worldwide Sport Updates, live podcast, your news, your sports, your local community. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday, folks. Yes, it is Philadelphia Eagles. It is NFL football day. We are live at Lincoln Financial Field, home of the Philadelphia Phillies. That too, and home of the Philadelphia Eagles. So, Philadelphia Phillies, Philadelphia Flyers, Philadelphia 76ers, and Philadelphia Eagles, that is. So, we are here at Lincoln Financial Field. As you can see the background, look at this beautiful stadium here. This is pretty amazing. We got the sun up top. We're ready to go. Hopefully I don't sweat. The sun is shining on me here. I look really good, so it's pretty awesome. All right. Hopefully everybody can hear me. Let's see if are we having any issues? We're still a little bit off here. Let me see. Let's see. Are we good though? Let me check. Yeah, we are good. Okay. I just wanted to check the audio to see if everybody hears me, but I think we're pretty good on that nonetheless. How's everybody doing? Everybody's good on this Sunday nonetheless. Thank you for joining us. Again, we're here live at the Link, home of the Philadelphia Eagles. Again, Philadelphia 76ers, Philadelphia Phillies, Philadelphia Flyers. And speaking of the Flyers, the Nhl Hockey Preseason just started yesterday. So we're going to go over that. We're going to go over preseason NHL. The one thing we will not be going over today is UFC. There is no UFC. There was no UFC yesterday. So there was no card for Saturday. So UFC took a day off, I believe. And there was no Premier Boxing either. So that is one less thing we don't have to talk about today on this show. All right. We are going to talk, though, a lot of things, ladies and gentlemen, to get you ready for none other than the NBA preseason, which starts this upcoming Friday. Yes, folks, the NBA preseason is here. So we're gonna talk about that, get you all squared away and started on that nonetheless. Again, thank you for joining us here, Worldwide Sport Updates, your podcast, your news, your local community. Thank you for being with us, being a part of this Sunday morning. You guys are pretty much a great audience if you're tuning into this live podcast. So, ladies and gentlemen, last week we also had we did have a live podcast last week, but we were not streaming on Facebook last week. So we came up with a new software that we are now partnered with. So we are now partnered with Apple, with Google, and we are also partnered with Spotify now. So now we have an audio podcast, which we are now part of Spotify, Apple, and Google. So that's pretty awesome. More excited. So our platform is really getting noticeable and getting where it needs to be at that level of getting noticed and putting ourselves out there. So that's pretty awesome. Today, though, however, we are on Facebook, we are on YouTube channel, and we are on Twitter. So we are streaming everywhere today. So we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, and we are on our own YouTube channel. So awesome stuff. What a beautiful stadium this is behind me, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this beautiful stadium here. Home of the Philadelphia Eagles, folks. Home of the Super Bowl champs back in 2018. And we are going to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles, ladies and gentlemen. This team could be probably the hottest team. And are we seeing a repeat of what we witnessed back in the year 2018, folks? We're going to talk about that a little bit here throughout this show. We might be going to overtime today, too. So, tune in. This is going to get really exciting. I have a gut feeling the Philadelphia Eagles could be doing something special this year under the helm of Jalen Hurst, nonetheless. So it's gonna be pretty exciting. I did not expect them to be where they at right now. Not to mention they'll be playing against the Washington Commanders later on today. So things are looking very interesting, and we're gonna talk about their upcoming games too. Their next upcoming games are gonna be against Jacksonville Jaguars, against the Dallas Cowboys, and I believe against the other team. I think they'll be playing before the bye week. So they'll be playing Jacksonville, they'll be playing Dallas, and I believe they'll be playing... There is one other team they'll be playing before the bye. I'm trying to figure out who that team is. They got the Washington Commanders. Okay, so week 3. Week 4, they'll be going up against Jackson. I think they'll be going up against Jacksonville. Let's look at their upcoming schedule here, folks. So their upcoming schedule looks like this, folks. They'll be playing against the Commanders today, Jacksonville next week, Cardinals, Cowboys, and then they have a bye, folks. Yeah, that's who I was thinking of. So things could be very interesting for this Philadelphia Eagles team, and where they're going to be sitting at come bye week. So we'll talk about that. We'll get to full details throughout the show. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, here's the scoop later on what we're going to cover on this show. We're going to talk about the NBA. We're going to go over some news. Yes, to get you ready for NBA preseason, along with games that you're going to be looking forward to this upcoming season. In the NBA, we're gonna go over that. The schedule did come out during sometime during the summer, but we're gonna go over it though, and we're gonna get your opinion and your thoughts on how you feel about this upcoming schedule and which games are you looking forward to. So we'll be talking about that throughout the show, nonetheless. Also, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna talk about NBA signings. We did have some NBA signings. Also, the latest on Amani Bates, ladies and gentlemen. Amani Bates. We have the latest report on Amani Bates. I did talk about him on the recorded podcast on Friday. For anybody that missed it, It's on our recorded podcast on YouTube channel. What happened to Amani Bates? We're gonna get full details on that here throughout the show. So we'll get in. We already know. We already have a court date expected for him. So that is definitely coming up right here shortly on this show. Also, we're going to talk about the NHL preseason. We're going to and results from Saturday. Throughout the games on Saturday, we'll talk about NHL preseason, and we have Sunday games in the NHL preseason. We'll go over that. We'll throw out some predictions if we have time throughout the show. We have college football games to go over, ladies and gentlemen. 60 games transpired on Saturday. We're going to go over that. We have some news as well. We're going to go over that with you throughout the show. Major League Baseball news and signings. We're going to talk about that throughout the show. And then we'll close it out, ladies and gentlemen, with some NFL news, injury reports, predictions, breakdown analysis of 14 games going on today in the NFL, plus one game that will be happening tomorrow night. We'll get to that. We have 5 NFL lock picks I'll be going over with you. And for all the fantasy football owners that play fantasy football, I have your week 3 fantasy rankings, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go over that here throughout the show. So we're going to talk fantasy football and who are your top recognizable players in fantasy football, folks. We'll get to all that here coming up throughout the show. All right. So first and foremost, we are going to go over, ladies and gentlemen, NBA news. Or should we start with college football? You know what? Let's start with college football first. Yes, we have 60 games to go over. I think if we get that out of the way, we should be good to go. So I think that's the first. I believe that's the first thing that needs to be discussed. Excuse me. I think that's the first thing that needs to be discussed and that needs to be talked about nonetheless. So with that being said, folks, we are going to talk about college football news, and we are going to go over so we're going to go over news of college football games. Recap 60 games that transpired on your Saturday. All right. So with that being said, let's go over some college football news here. I believe there's some news. So ladies and gentlemen, the Kansas Jayhawks. That's the first news. They are 4-0, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time since 2009. Yes, can you believe it? Kansas Jayhawks, ladies and gentlemen. 4-0 for the first time since 2009, ladies and gentlemen. And not to mention, hold on. I'm losing the screen here, that's why. Okay. Yeah, so Kansas Jayhawks are undefeated for the first time since the year 2009. Also, ladies and gentlemen, in college football news, Middle Tennessee beat Miami Hurricanes in an upset yesterday. And ladies and gentlemen, Middle Tennessee, here's some history here. For the first time, this is their first win, ladies and gentlemen, actually, versus an AP-ranked opponent in program history. Their previous record was 0-24, folks. So they just picked up their first win. Congratulations to Middle Tennessee on knocking out the Miami Hurricanes. So they did that yesterday in great fashion, nonetheless. Also, I believe we had another upset yesterday where Oregon beat Washington State. 44-41 was your final score. We'll go over those in a couple minutes here. Also, Kansas State, ladies and gentlemen, versus Oklahoma. What a rivalry there, ladies and gentlemen. Their last 4 results, if you all probably know the rivalry between Kansas State and Oklahoma. Last time, ladies and gentlemen, on October 26, 2019, Oklahoma lost to Kansas State 48-41. And then on September 26, 2020, they met again where Kansas State beat Oklahoma 38-35. And then on October 2nd, 2021, they met again. And Oklahoma, ladies and gentlemen, beat Kansas State 37-31. So pretty much I think those two are evened. The two school programs are evened out. So again, on October 26, 2019, Kansas State beat Oklahoma. On September 26, 2020, Kansas State beat Oklahoma 38-35. And then on October 2nd, 2021, Oklahoma beat Kansas State 37-31. Well, yesterday they met again, and Kansas State beat Oklahoma 41-34, your final. So those are the last four results. So they're pretty much tied 2 apiece when they go head-to-head in college football matchup. And again, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of Kansas State versus Oklahoma, give a big shout out to Adrian Martinez, who had an historical day yesterday in college football, folks. 382 total yards, 1 passing touchdown, 4 rushing touchdowns, ladies and gentlemen. Awesome, phenomenal performance by Adrian Martinez. Also, ladies and gentlemen, Jaren Hall. Now, Jaren Hall, ladies and gentlemen, this is out of Yale. He posted in school program history 4,000 yards. Now, this is out of the all-conference games that I'm about to cover. He is part of the FCS program. Those pretty much are teams where they're unranked, and you're talking about the Ivy League there, pretty much. So, but he achieved 4,000, ladies and gentlemen, passing yards in his career with Yale. So, awesome job there for him. Congratulations are definitely in order. And also, ladies and gentlemen, Wake Forest, Sam Hartman, he has a single game touchdown pass with 6, ladies and gentlemen. 6 single game touchdown passes as a school record for Sam Hartman, ladies and gentlemen. That's pretty awesome for the Wake Forest football team. And also, ladies and gentlemen, one more to give a big shout out to EKU, ladies and gentlemen. That is EKU. That's the Eastern Kentucky Colonials football team. Parker McKinney, ladies and gentlemen, who has a school program career touchdown record of 52 touchdowns, ladies and gentlemen, total for Parker McKinney. So 52 total touchdowns by Parker. Ladies and gentlemen, Parker. That is, again, ladies and gentlemen, Parker McKinney, folks. Yes, so Parker McKinney, career touchdown record 52, ladies and gentlemen, for EKU, for Eastern Kentucky Colonials. So, pretty awesome. That's college football news for you to go over this morning. And then, ladies and gentlemen, one more thing here. I believe we do still have some more college football news to go over. Let me see if we could find them. If not, then we should be good. I think, yeah, we're good. Okay. Let's see. All right. So let's see if there's any more college football news to go over here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just trying to see what needs to be recapped before we go over the college football scores. Oh yeah, ladies and gentlemen, there is one another thing to mention about college football. So ladies and gentlemen, on Thursday we had Thursday night football from college, where it was West Virginia versus Virginia Tech. And ladies and gentlemen, they recorded 1.6 million viewers. That is the second most watched non-week 1 Thursday game on ESPN, ladies and gentlemen, since Thanksgiving of the year 2017. So, ladies and gentlemen, it peaked this past Thursday. It peaked nearly 2 million viewers. That is from 9 o'clock to 9:15 p.m. Eastern Time, folks. Yes, between West Virginia and Virginia Tech. And the final score for that game, I can bring that up for you. I'll be glad to bring it up for you. West Virginia, ladies and gentlemen, the West Virginia Mountaineers football team, again, they played on Thursday, folks. Okay, this past Thursday, excuse me, where they beat Virginia Tech Hokies 33-10. Ladies and gentlemen, was your final score in that football game. And again, 1.6 million viewers, folks. They peaked nearly at 2 million viewers from 9 to 9:15 p.m. 15 minutes, folks, into that football game. From 9 o'clock to 9:15 Eastern Time. Nearly 2 million, folks. People watch that football game. Truly, truly awesome and tremendous nonetheless. That is all your college football news, folks. So we're going to go over the scores, talk about some stats, who had a great game and so forth. So yeah, we'll go over that with you right here on this live podcast this morning here, live from Lincoln Financial Field, home of the Philadelphia Eagles, the Philadelphia Phillies, the Philadelphia Flyers, the Philadelphia 76ers, here home of the city of brotherly love nonetheless. Okay. All right. So with that being said, let's go over those college football scores. Recap 60 games that transpired, ladies and gentlemen, yesterday. And we'll go over them with you. We're going to start off, ladies and gentlemen, with Duke. We're going to start off with Duke. And ladies and gentlemen, Duke went up against Kansas Jayhawks. So speaking of the Kansas Jayhawks, again, they are undefeated, ladies and gentlemen, at 4-0 for the first time since 2009. Ladies and gentlemen, they beat Duke Blue Devils, giving them their first loss of the season. 35-27 was your 35-27 was your final score. For the Kansas Jayhawks, again, shout out to Jalen Daniels. Passing yards, 324. Again, he had 4 touchdowns, ladies and gentlemen. 1 rushing touchdown by Jalen Daniels. 83 rushing yards by Jalen Daniels through the ground, ladies and gentlemen. And 82 receiving yards by Lawrence Arnold. And Lonnie Helms, ladies and gentlemen, recorded 1 sack in that football game yesterday. Kansas Jayhawks are off to a 4-0 start. Again, for the first time, ladies and gentlemen, since the year 2009. So awesome stuff nonetheless by the Kansas Jayhawks football team. So again, they are off to a 4-0 start. And they'll continue the momentum next week when I believe they're on the road. I think they're traveling on the road next week. No, they're at home. Next week they're at home. They play against Iowa State, ladies and gentlemen, next week. So we'll see how this football team truly is. As of right now, they're in great shape. And they're having a phenomenal season nonetheless. Handing the Blue Devils, again, their first loss of the season, folks. 35-27 was your final score in that football game. All right. URI, ladies and gentlemen, they went up against Pittsburgh Panthers. Pittsburgh Panthers, ladies and gentlemen, they prevailed with a victory. Became victorious against URI. 45-24 was your final score, ladies and gentlemen. They went up against the Rhode Island Rams, ladies and gentlemen. And they are off to a 3-1 start for the Pittsburgh Panthers. As far as Rhode Island Rams, well, I think this was their first game, so they're 0-1 to start the new season campaign. They were on the road against the Pittsburgh Panthers. So that is the latest updates there on the Pittsburgh Panthers going up against Rhode Island Rams. 45-24 was your final, ladies and gentlemen. All right, overtime game, ladies and gentlemen. Yesterday we witnessed a low-scoring affair, nonetheless, between Auburn Tigers, ladies and gentlemen, and Missouri. So again, Missouri Tigers, both Tigers, ladies and gentlemen, the battle of the Tigers here. They went had one-on-one matchup on the field. Auburn Tigers prevailed as they handed Missouri their record of 2-2 on the season. Auburn Tigers, they prevailed. They move up to 3-1. Robbie Ashford had 127 passing yards. Rushing yards for Robbie Ashford, 46 through the ground. One rushing touchdown. Ladies and gentlemen, using his feet. Coy Moore had 74 receiving yards. Derek Hall had 2 sacks. and Derek Hall had 1 interception. So those are your team leaders, you're pretty much for that football game. And they prevailed in a low-scoring affair nonetheless, 17-14. The Auburn Tigers' next matchup will be next week in Week 5 against the LSU Tigers. So there's a big another matchup against the Tigers next week. So this is like a Tigers week for them. Again, they went up against Missouri Tigers, gave them their second loss on the season. After Missouri Tigers won last week in Week 3 against ACU. They lost against Auburn Tigers yesterday, again, with a low-scoring affair. But again, for the Auburn Tigers, they will be getting ready for next week's matchup against LSU. All right, so 17-14, low-scoring affair, ladies and gentlemen, as the Auburn Tigers improve to 3-1 on the season campaign. All right. Buffalo, ladies and gentlemen, against EMU. Well, EMU, ladies and gentlemen, they had no answer. The Eastern Michigan Eagles, after last week's performance, was pretty good. I mean, I don't know what happened here. Last week, ladies and gentlemen, Eastern Michigan for Eastern Michigan, ladies and gentlemen, the Eastern Michigan Eagles, last week they went up against ASU, and they beat them, ladies and gentlemen, 30-21. On the road, but again, they had no answer for the Buffalo Bulls. The Buffalo Bulls, I think they got their first win of the season after starting the season 0-3. So they pick up their first victory. They go 1-3 on the season. A great fashion, nonetheless, for the Buffalo Bulls. 50-31 was your final score there, ladies and gentlemen, in that football matchup, in that football contest. So let's give out some team leaders to make this all happen. Cole Snyder with 297 passing yards. Cole Snyder had 2 passing touchdowns. Ron Cook Jr. had 92 rushing yards. Mike Washington had 2 rushing touchdowns, ladies and gentlemen, using his feet. Quinn Williams had 99 receiving yards. James Hook had 1 sack, and James Peterson had 1 recorded interception, folks. So this is how the Buffalo Bulls made it happen. Picked up their first win. Final score, ladies and gentlemen, 50-31 on the season campaign. So awesome stuff by Buffalo Bulls. I mean, again, ladies and gentlemen, as a team, they recorded 498 total yards, 297 passing yards, and they had passes for first downs, ladies and gentlemen. 10 of them, I think, for first down completions. And rushing average for Buffalo Bulls was 3.7. And not a whole lot of punts in this football game. Each team had 1 punt possession. Time of possession for the Buffalo Bulls was 38 and 37 this whole entire game. So they knew how to take care of the ball, and not to mention time management was good advantage for them. Again, 50-31 was your final score for the Buffalo Bulls, ladies and gentlemen, as they pick up their first win of the season nonetheless. All right, 50-31, ladies and gentlemen, final score. Kent, ladies and gentlemen, against the Georgia Bulldogs. Now, we need to talk about this game real quick. Georgia Bulldogs, ladies and gentlemen, they came into this game ranked number 1 yesterday. Now, there is speculation and talks that they might be falling in the rankings. Now, you ask why. Why are they going to be falling in the rankings? The reason why, they did pick up the victory, but the reason why is how much they let, ladies and gentlemen, their opponent stick in this game. So, Kent, ladies and gentlemen, they are a unranked football team. They are an unranked football team, folks. But they kept them in this football game. They kept Kent State Golden Flashes in this football game. And the Georgia Bulldogs, there's speculation and talks that they might fall. They might fall, but even though they picked up the victory, it's still, they could still go down in rankings, folks. I mean, how much are they going to go down? We don't know yet. I think the college football rankings are expected to be published this afternoon. So we should find out how significantly are they going to drop. Maybe they might not drop much. They might stay put. But I think it's going to hurt them a little bit because, again, they danced, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, the Golden Flashes, Kent State Golden Flashes, ladies and gentlemen, they danced with the Georgia Bulldogs. They were like in total control to try to upset the Georgia Bulldogs, but they prevailed. Again, 39-22 was your final there for Kent State Golden Flashes, ladies and gentlemen. I think this is their first win of the season. They picked up their first win last week against LIU. Where they dominated LIU, ladies and gentlemen, 63-10. That was against the LIU. I believe it was the LIU. Who's the? Cannot even come up with their name right now. This is unbelievable. Yeah, they went up against the LIU Sharks. They beat them 63-10 to pick up their first victory. But what a way to fall, ladies and gentlemen, against the Georgia Bulldogs. But they stayed with them, though. They stayed with them throughout the game. But again, that's actually a little bit of a problem here. That there's a good possibility Georgia Bulldogs might fall. But again, hopefully not. Fingers crossed that they stay put. I mean, they did pick up the win. But we shall see when the college football rankings get published this afternoon. With that being said, though, ladies and gentlemen, Georgia Bulldogs improved to 4-0 on the season campaign. They're undefeated. Here are some team stats. Your team leader stats for this outstanding performance. Stenson Bennett, ladies and gentlemen, continues. Again, he's the Heisman runner-up, ladies and gentlemen, in Heisman talks. He had 272 passing yards, 0 touchdowns through the air, 77 rushing yards for Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers also had 2 rushing touchdowns. Ladd McConkey had 65 receiving yards. Jamin Dumas Johnson had 2 sacks. And Christopher Smith had 1 interception, folks. Again, final score, 39-22 as Georgia Bulldogs prevail on the season campaign 4-0 on the season campaign for the Georgia Bulldogs. But again, speaking of those rankings, they might fall just because Kent State was really with them in this football game yesterday. And there's a lot of talks and speculation that Georgia might fall down a little bit. Not much, not significantly, but a little bit though. Or they might stay put at number 1. We shall see. But again, do they deserve number 1 after Kent State put up 22 points against that Georgia Bulldogs defense? And it raises a little bit of eyebrows, ladies and gentlemen. So it makes you wonder a little bit. It makes you wonder. But again, 39-22, your final score. Baylor Bears, ladies and gentlemen, against ISU. 31-24, the Baylor Bears prevail. They improved their record to 3-1. They came into this football game ranked number 17. Low-scoring game, nonetheless. I mean, it was a 7-point differential here. 31-24. We'll see where they get bumped up. Will they move up in the rankings? Will they stay the same? We shall see. Will they fall a little bit? We shall wait and see. 31-24 was your final score there, ladies and gentlemen, between the Baylor Bears and ISU. All right. For the ISU, they fall to 3-1 against the Iowa State Cyclones. And Baylor Bears, ladies and gentlemen, they improved to 3-1. For Iowa State Cyclones, I believe this was their first loss after going undefeated 3-0. So that is how things are shaping up for the ISU Cyclones football team. All right. So Iowa State Cyclones, they suffered their first loss after going undefeated to begin the season campaign. And they lost, ladies and gentlemen, to the Baylor Bears. Again, 7-point differential. 31-24 was your final. All right. TCU, ladies and gentlemen, against SMU. TCU, ladies and gentlemen, they improved their record to 3-0, undefeated. Low scoring game there. Also, 42-34 was your final. For TCU, ladies and gentlemen, off to a great start. Nonetheless, here's their schedule. In week 1, ladies and gentlemen, they went up against Colorado, beat them 38-13. They went up against, in week 2, against TARST, beat them 59-17. Last week, they beat SMU. This was yesterday. I'm sorry. They beat SMU 42-34. That was against Southern Methodist Mustangs, folks. They went up against the Mustangs and they beat them. Again, ladies and gentlemen, final score 42-34 was your final. They're off to a great start, 3-0. On November 12th, ladies and gentlemen, they are expected to go against the Texas Longhorns. I don't know. Actually, hold up. No. No, Texas Christian is supposed to go up against Texas Longhorns on November 12th. That's week 11. I don't know why are they off that significantly though? No, they're not. Hold up. October 1. No, so next week they go against Oklahoma Sooners. So Texas Christian, ladies and gentlemen, the Horned Frogs, who are undefeated, they will go up against Oklahoma Sooners next week in week 5. And ladies and gentlemen, for Southern Methodist, they started the season 2-0 before they fell short their last 2 previous matchups. They lost to Maryland Terrapins last week, and they lost to Texas Christian yesterday. So again, they're 2-2. Their record is 2-2, and again, 42-34 is your final there, ladies and gentlemen, to start the season campaign. So again, Texas Christian are off to 3-0, undefeated season. Pretty awesome stuff. Let's give out some team leaders, some stat reports. Max Dugan, ladies and gentlemen, 278 passing yards. Max Dugan with 3 passing touchdowns, 142 rushing yards by Condre Miller. Amari Depreciado with 2 rushing touchdowns. And ladies and gentlemen, Darius Davis had 78 receiving yards. Johnny Hodgins had 1 sack, and Abraham Kamara had 1 interception for TCU to prevail. 42-34, your final, as they move on to a 3-0 undefeated regular season. Awesome stuff. All right. BGSU against Mississippi, ladies and gentlemen. I think that is the Mississippi State Bulldogs. The Mississippi State Bulldogs. They went up against Bowling Green Falcons. Mississippi State Bulldogs 3-1, and Bowling Green, ladies and gentlemen, they fall to 1-3. So Bowling Green Falcons 1-3. Mississippi State Bulldogs, they prevailed to 3-1. Final score 45-14. All right, let's see. This football game was a dominated performance, none other than by Louisville Cardinals. They beat South Florida Bulls. For the Louisville Cardinals, 2-2 on the season. South Florida Bulls 1-3. Final score 41-3, ladies and gentlemen. Dominating fashion of a football game there, nonetheless. All right. Okay. All right. So 41-3, your final. Louisville 2-2 on the season. USF, ladies and gentlemen, that is South Florida Bulls. They fall to 1-3. The Maryland Terrapins, they went up against, ladies and gentlemen, none other than the Michigan Wolverines. And the Michigan Wolverines, the hottest team in college football, 4-0. Ladies and gentlemen, they came into this football game ranked number 4. Awesome stuff nonetheless. Michigan Wolverines are off to a 4-0 start. Maryland Terrapins, I believe the Maryland Terrapins, again, I think I mentioned them already. ladies and gentlemen. They suffered their first loss of the season. Next week, they go up against another Michigan football team. They go up against the Michigan State Spartans, who are not doing so good. Yes. But ladies and gentlemen, the Michigan Wolverines, they prevailed. By the way, this was a close game. The Maryland Terrapins almost came up with this football game. I mean, look how close it was. Maryland Terrapins just like dancing and staying close. It's like they were connected somehow on that football field for 60 minutes. And it was a close, tight battle here. Again, 34-27 your final there, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I expected Michigan Wolverines to dominate the Maryland Terrapins. But again, 34-27, not bad. Again, J.J. McCarthy, ladies and gentlemen, he continues to be the number one quarterback that he's proving that he is. So pretty awesome. Let's go over his stats nonetheless. J.J. McCarthy, please stand up. 220 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 243 rushing yards, 243 rushing yards by Blake Corum, ladies and gentlemen. Blake Corum had 2 rushing touchdowns. Luke Schoonemaker had 72 receiving yards. Mike Morris had 1 sack. R.J. Moten had 1 interception, folks. So for the Michigan Wolverines, they're off to a 4-0 start on the season campaign, beating the Maryland Terrapins 34-27, your final there. So Maryland Terrapins suffered their first loss of the season. So pretty awesome for the Michigan Wolverines. So again, for the Maryland Terrapins, they go up against the Michigan State Spartans next week, who are not doing so good. Again, who expected Michigan State Spartans, ladies and gentlemen, to suffer their second loss? We're going to get to that in a couple minutes here, though, but yeah. All right, so for the Michigan Wolverines, 4-0, continue to be the team that they're proven to be under J.J. McCarthy, who is definitely showing himself that true leader that he truly is, nonetheless. All right, Penn State Nittany Lions, who came in number 15, ladies and gentlemen. They went up against Central Michigan Chippewas. Yeah, Central Michigan Chippewas. Central Michigan Chippewas 1-3 on the season, and I believe Central Michigan, ladies and gentlemen, after picking up a win last week against Bucknell, they did go up against Bucknell, right? Yes, Bucknell Bison. They beat Bucknell Bison again. Last week in a dominating fashion, 41-0. And this week they had to go up against Penn State Nittany Lions on the road. And Penn State, they proved that they are better than a ranked number 15 team. They came into this football game ranked number 15, folks. Penn State, they did. But they proved, Penn State really proved that they deserve to be in the top 10 rankings after this victorious win against, ladies and gentlemen, Central Michigan Chippewas or Chippewas or whatever they call them. Again, 1-3 for the Central Michigan Chippewas. Penn State 4-0, undefeated, off to a good start. Again, will they continue that momentum? Everybody knows what happened to Penn State last year, folks. They started the season hot. They were 5-0, ladies and gentlemen. All of a sudden, yeah, they started 5-0, and then they went downhill. So, will we see a repeat of that? I don't know. I really don't know. So, again, with that being said, folks, yes, they are off to a 4-0 start. Hot team right now, too. And they did prove that they are really a great football team, nonetheless. They're playing as a team, folks. What else can you expect out of Penn State Nittany Lions? But again, ladies and gentlemen, let's give out some shout-outs, though. Here we go. Sean Clifford, my man Sean. Ladies and gentlemen, passing yards, 217. 3 passing touchdowns by Sean Clifford. Creighton Allen, ladies and gentlemen. 111 rushing yards through the ground. Crayon Allen, 1 rushing touchdown. Parker Washington, 64 receiving yards. Danny Dennis Sutton, 2 sacks. Johnny Dixon, 1 interception, folks. Off to a good start for the Penn State Nittany Lions. And ladies and gentlemen, look at their schedule. The previous schedule, I mean, scoring, ladies and gentlemen, every team that they face from the beginning of the season in week 1 up to week 4, ladies and gentlemen, they have scored 30 or more points against their opponents. That is pretty awesome, folks. Again, they went up against Purdue in week 1, where they beat them 35-31 in a close battle. Went up against Ohio, ladies and gentlemen, beat them 46-10. And then they beat Auburn, the Auburn Tigers, 41-12, folks. That was last week. And now they beat Central Michigan Chippewas 33-14, folks. So combined, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, they are scoring anywhere, I would say, I would say, I mean, combine. Hold on, let's see here. Combine with. So yeah, I mean, folks, 119 points. They scored 119 points, folks, against their opponents. Yeah, dominating. Penn State is putting some crazy numbers, folks, in the stat column, in their schedule nonetheless. Again, you go back to Purdue, 35-31, against Ohio, 46-10. Auburn, 41-12 last week. And again, Central Michigan yesterday, 33-14. So again, 119 points combined, folks. That's how much points they put up so far in the last 4 weeks for Penn State Nittany Lions, folks. And that's pretty awesome. I mean, that could not go unnoticed, folks, for Penn State nonetheless. So tremendous performance by the Penn State Nittany Lions. All right. Let's see. All right. Clemson Tigers against Wake Forest. What an overtime game this was. What a game this was definitely to watch. And Clemson, folks, they're proving that last year's season was behind them, folks. They're definitely proving that they are definitely that legit football team that they are without Trevor Lawrence, who's now with the NFL now with the Jacksonville Jaguars. But again, folks, I mean, last year they didn't have Trevor Lawrence, and it was like a up and down season for Clemson. But all of a sudden, folks, Clemson is clicking as a football team once again. And they are in the college football rankings, not to mention they came in this football game ranked number 5 yesterday, folks. And again, they took Wake Forest, ladies and gentlemen, to the limit in that football matchup. What a game that was. Went to overtime. Final score 51-45, ladies and gentlemen, nonetheless. Again, they're undefeated. I won't be surprised if they go up 1 point in the college football rankings. They might stay at number 5, but I think they deserve to move up, though. I really do. I mean, they went up against number 16 Wake Forest Demon Deacons football team, and they battled throughout this whole game, and they took it to overtime. And what a great showing! DJ, ladies and gentlemen, DJ Ugali, who had 371 passing yards, ladies and gentlemen. He had also 5 passing touchdowns by DJ Ugali. Will Shapili had 104 rushing yards. Will Shapili had 1 rushing touchdown. Joseph Nagata had 84 receiving yards. And Tyler Davis had 1.5 total sacks, ladies and gentlemen, in this football game. What a game, though. What a showing. They put a display on the football field. I mean, this is what college football is all about, folks, is seeing those interesting games and watching them, as they prevail. And, and this is what gets you really hyped up. This is what gets you hyped up during the weekend, folks, before NFL Sunday, is when you watch college football games such as this game. And it cannot get any juicier or better than what we transpired yesterday, folks. So, great stuff indeed by this Clemson football team. Again, 51-45 was your final score, ladies and gentlemen, in that football matchup. UCLA, ladies and gentlemen, Tigers against Colorado. Well, Colorado is 0-4 on the season. UCLA, I mean, there's really not much to really say, except they're undefeated to start the season campaign. 45-17 was your final score. Again, the undefeated team did not show anything at all. And again, being winless on the season really speaks for itself. And they had no answer for the UCLA Bruins. Again, 45-17 nonetheless in that football matchup. So, Colorado Buffaloes, no answer. All right. Fordham against Ohio, ladies and gentlemen. Tight battle here. 59-52 as Ohio move their record to 2-2 on the season campaign. Mass against Temple Owls. The Temple Owls stand up Temple. They improved their record to 2-2. Again, folks, the head coach of Temple Owls saying, man, there's a lot of work still that needs to be done in that football team. And it seems like he's not really happy about the win, because he even mentioned in his quotes that there's a lot of room for improvement in this football team. I mean, and I think he pretty much, the reason why he said that is because the record speaks for itself. They're 2-2. I mean, look at this. If you look at the record, I mean, not their record. They are 2-2, and they beat Massachusetts Minutemen again 28-0. Minutemen had no answer. They fall to 1-3 on the season, but look at the Temple Owls schedule though. Going back to week 1 against the Duke Blue Devils. Excuse me. Against the Duke Blue Devils, folks, they lost 30-0, and the Temple Owls got embarrassed. And then they beat Lafayette with a great answer in week 2, 30-14. They lost to Rutgers 16-14, and again, they come back. So this is like an up and down season right now for the Temple Owls. And even though there's like work and more for improvement, the head coach is still not happy with this football team. I mean, are they? I mean, they are unranked. They are unranked football team in college. They're not in the top 25, and he feels like this football team should be in the top 25. So there's a lot of room for improvement by the Temple Owls. But again, they're 2-2. They dominated Minutemen, but he felt like that was not enough. So again, he wants to try to get that taste out of his mouth, the ugly taste out of his mouth when they lost to the Duke Blue Devils back in week 1. Again, the defense, there was no answer on both sides of the ball, folks. Offense and defense, nothing was showing, back in week 1 between the Temple Owls and Duke Blue Devils. And again, I think it's still in the back of his mind. How did he lose that game 30-0? And Temple Owls really had some high probability going into this season, where they were going to be the better team. And the head coach said that there's still a lot of improvement that needs to be made, a lot of work that needs to be done. Nonetheless. All right, 28-0 final score, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give out some shout-outs to the Temple Owls and how they got to this victory win. E.J. Warner, 173 passing yards. E.J. Warner had 2 passing touchdowns. Quincy Patterson II had 52 rushing yards. Quincy Patterson II had 1 rushing touchdown. And Donius Sanders had 101 receiving yards. And Jordan McGee had 1 sack. Leighton Jordan had 1 interception, folks. So Minutemen, not really much to go over their stats. They had no answer for this football team. Temple Owls improved to 2-2 on the season. And speaking of the Temple Owls, they play at this stadium, folks, at Lincoln Financial Field, home of the Philadelphia Eagles. I think the Philadelphia Eagles, they let this team borrow this stadium on Saturdays. So again, Temple Owls do use this stadium, folks, to play their college football games. Yes, at Lincoln Financial Field, home of the Philadelphia Eagles, home of the Philadelphia Phillies, home of the Philadelphia Flyers, home of the Philadelphia 76ers. As you can see, these are real hands. These are real hands. This is a real jersey. And the sun is bright. So, well, nobody's here. Nobody's here, my friend. Nobody's here. Nobody here. It's an empty stadium. It's an empty stadium. I'm sitting outside with cameramans and everybody. And the sun is shining on me here. Hopefully I don't sweat or nothing like that. It is a real jersey. Look, my hands are real. I mean, hopefully they are real, right? So yeah, we got a real jersey on. I mean, it's not fake, is it? All right, so we're good, right? I mean, we are good, right? Okay. I'm just double checking here. All right, so yeah, Temple Owls, ladies and gentlemen, they use this stadium to play their football games on Saturday. So again, Temple Owls became victorious, 28-0 against Minutemen. All right, so awesome stuff there, nonetheless. All right, TXSO, they went up against UTSA, 52-24. UTSA improved their record to 2-2 on the season. Indiana against Cincinnati Bearcats. Cincinnati Bearcats, ladies and gentlemen, 3-1 against Indiana Hoosiers. 45-24 final score there. Cincinnati Bearcats 3-1. Indiana Hoosiers are 3-1. For the Indiana Hoosiers, I believe this is their first loss of the season. Yes, it is. After starting the season undefeated, 3-0. For Cincinnati Bearcats, they suffered their first loss back in week 1 against Arkansas Razorbacks, and they continued that 3-game winning streak. Next week, they go up against Tulsa. I believe they go up against... Yeah, they will go up against Tulsa, ladies and gentlemen. So they're off to a good start. Hot start for Cincinnati Bearcats. Right where they need to be. They are still unranked college football team. Hopefully they get to the top 25. That's what the Cincinnati Bearcats are definitely aiming for, folks. They want to get to the top 25. They definitely do. They want to get back to the top 25. They were in the top 25 last year. So far, they're not in it this year, but they're trying to get there. They want to accomplish it. They want to get there. So let's see where they stand when the college football rankings get published later on this afternoon. Here are some shout outs. Ben Bryant, ladies and gentlemen, 354 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns. Charles McLean, 25 rushing yards. Corey Kiner, 1 rushing touchdown. 185 receiving yards by Tyler Scott. Ivan Pace Jr. with 2.5 sacks. Brian Threats had 1 interception to make it all happen for the Cincinnati Bearcats. Again, 45-24, your final score there. Awesome stuff indeed. And they continue to be the hottest team, and they want to be the hottest team going into this season nonetheless. And they want to prove the doubters wrong, that they are still that legitimate football team nonetheless. So they were top 25 last year. They want to continue that trend. They want to be that great team. And they want to get back to the top 25. So again, the college football rankings should be published this afternoon, and we'll see where they at nonetheless. So we'll go from there. We'll keep you posted. Always follow our Facebook group page on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok for the latest updates on the college football rankings, which will be published this afternoon nonetheless, folks. All right. Texas Tech against the Texas Longhorns. Overtime game, low-scoring affair. Texas Tech Raiders, they improved their record to 3-1. Texas Longhorns are 2-2. Final score, 37-34. Donovan Smith, ladies and gentlemen, 331 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. Say Roderick Thompson with 70 rushing yards. Say Roderick Thompson with 1 rushing touchdown. Miles Price with 98 receiving yards. Tony Bradford Jr. with 0.5 sacks. Reggie Pearson Jr. with 1 interception. What a tight game, tight battle here. Texas Longhorns suffered their second loss on the season campaign. Texas Tech Red Raiders, they improved 3-1 on the season. For the Texas Tech Raiders, they lost last week, so what a good statement to come back against Texas Longhorns in a great fashion nonetheless. In a tight battle though, but they prevailed and they did it in overtime to become victorious and pick up their 3rd win of the season. So awesome stuff there indeed. All right, FIU, ladies and gentlemen, against WKU. Western Kentucky Hilltoppers against Florida International Panthers. Hilltoppers, they improved their record to 3-1. Florida International Panthers fall to 1-2. Man, Florida International Panthers had no answer for this football team. None whatsoever. None whatsoever, folks. Oh my God. 73-0 was your final score, ladies and gentlemen. 73-0, yup. And for the Hilltoppers, man, Austin Reed, 381 passing yards, 5 passing touchdowns. LT Sanders with 73 rushing yards through the ground. Davian Irvin Dexter with 2 rushing touchdowns. Militia Corley with 125 receiving yards. Aaron Key, 1 sack. And Khalif Halassi with 1 interception, folks. So what a game. What a dominating fashion by Western Kentucky Hilltoppers, folks. And for the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers, look at this. I mean, they started the season back in week 0. They went up against Penn, beating them 38-27. Went against the Hawaii team in week 1, beat them 49-17. Lost last week, and ladies and gentlemen, what an answer! 73-0. I mean, last week they lost 33-30, ladies and gentlemen, against IU. But damn, 73-0. Oh my God, 73-0, folks. What a game! What a game for the Hilltoppers, and what an answer for the Hilltoppers going into week 4. Oh my God, what a dominating fashion nonetheless, as they improved their record to 3-1 in the NCAA standings. So pretty awesome job by this football team. Again, Florida International Panthers, man, they need to go back and watch film and see exactly what went wrong. And the only thing in the back of their minds that really went wrong is, why couldn't we put points on the board against the Hilltoppers? You know, so, I mean, you know, this is uncalled for. I mean, especially when when you can't put points on the board, you don't know how the heck you are as a football team. You can't really figure yourself as a football team. I mean, you need to go back and like strategize, analyze, look at the playbook, study the playbook. You know, dig deeply in that playbook, and you have to probably go back and adjust. I mean, I think the offensive line probably was terrible all game day. Let's see. Let's go back. Can we pull up some stats on that game? Some sacks on that game, actually. Let's see how many sacks there was. Well, there was only 1 recorded sack by the Florida International Panthers, which is really disappointing nonetheless. I mean, you know, you expect a lot out of this football team. You really, really do. You really do. To record only 1 sack and to be dominated 73-0, yeah, that's unexcusable. That's unexcusable. All right, 73-0 final, ladies and gentlemen. Notre Dame Fighting Irish, well, they're off to a good start. Beat the North Carolina Tar Heels. So I think the Tar Heels, they got their first loss, I believe. So let's go over their schedule here. Yes, they suffered their first loss after going 3-0. Ladies and gentlemen, so the Notre Dame Fighting Irish really came through in this one to become 2-2 on the season. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish just still figured themselves out as a football team. They started off sluggish to begin the season campaign in week 1 and week 2. Again, in week 1 they went up against Ohio State Buckeyes In week 2, they went against Marshall. They had no answer for those two football teams. But again, they beat California last week. And yesterday, they beat North Carolina Tar Heels. So they're off to a 2-game winning streak. Nonetheless, for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, off to a good start. And handing the North Carolina Tar Heels their first loss of the season. So awesome job there. 45-32, your final score. MTU against the Miami Hurricanes. Again, congratulations to Middle Tennessee, ladies and gentlemen. They picked up their first win and their first victory against a college football team in the rankings. And Miami Hurricanes, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, the previous record was 0-24, ladies and gentlemen, by the way, for anybody that missed that stat. They were 0-24 against teams in the college football rankings in the top 25. And they just broke that record yesterday. They're now 1-24. So Middle Tennessee, ladies and gentlemen, they beat the Miami Hurricanes in great fashion nonetheless. 45-31. Miami Hurricanes suffered their second loss of the season. Middle Tennessee are 3-1. 45-31 your final score there. So congratulations to MTU on an amazing victory nonetheless. So great game indeed too. So yeah, first time, ladies and gentlemen, they beat a college football ranked team in the top 25. As for the Miami Hurricanes, folks, they are going to fall in the college football. They're going to fall in the college football rankings. They came into this football game ranked number 25 yesterday, so you know they're finally going to fall under radar when the college football rankings get published later on this afternoon. Man, that sun is way too high, isn't it? And look at the rays on that sun. All right. So with that being said, folks, so they'll be falling in the college football rankings, and we'll see where they're going to be at, but they will not be in the top 25, that's for sure, after losing against Middle Tennessee. And not to mention, Middle Tennessee just picked up their first win against a college-ranked football team. The previous record was 0-24, so now it's 1-24. Round of applause to that record. So yeah, 1-24, ladies and gentlemen. So what a great way to celebrate. They get a victory, they improve their record to 3-1, and they pick up their first win against a college football ranked team. So pretty awesome stuff. I mean, talk about a college football Saturday nonetheless. All right. Florida Gators against the Tennessee Volunteers. Well, for the Florida Gators, folks, they came into this football game ranked number 22 yesterday, folks, against the Tennessee Volunteers, who really proved and outdone themselves to why they are truly that number 12 ranked college football team. And they did not disappoint. 38-33 was your final score for the Tennessee Volunteers, ladies and gentlemen. They might get a little boost in the college football rankings, ladies and gentlemen, this afternoon. For the Florida Gators, they're going to fall. The question is, how significantly are they going to fall? We'll find out later this afternoon. But for the Tennessee Volunteers, man, what a great win against the Florida Gators. And it was a good contest battle, though. I mean, you talk about Anthony Richardson. His name is being talked a lot for the Florida Gators, folks. He had 453 passing yards on this loss against the Tennessee Volunteers. He had 2 passing touchdowns, also 62 rushing yards, and he had 2 rushing touchdowns using his using his feet. And Justin Shorter had 155 receiving yards, and Amari Bruni had 2 sacks. But again, ladies and gentlemen, Hendon Hooker, he had 349 passing yards. Hendon Hooker had 2 passing touchdowns. Hendon Hooker had 112 rushing yards. Hendon Hooker had 1 rushing touchdown. Brew McCoy had 102 receiving yards. Dejon Terry had 1 sack. And Kamal Hendon had 1 interception, folks, for the Volunteers to prevail. Nonetheless, 38-33 was your final showdown here between the Volunteers and the Florida Gators. So, again, Anthony Richardson, folks, I mean, he put 400 plus yards through the air, but again, it was not enough to pick up a victory against a good, hot Tennessee Volunteers football team. So, again, folks, that's the way the cookie crumbles when you talk about a great football matchup, nonetheless. So, yeah, I mean, that's the way it is, right? So, yeah. All right, 33 is your final, folks. Toledo against SDSU, 17-14 your final score there. Two teams are 2-2 apiece to start the season. All right, Minnesota. Man, this is where the game I like to talk about here. The Minnesota Golden Gophers against the Michigan State Spartans. Now, who expected, ladies and gentlemen, for the Michigan State Spartans to fall 2-2 on the regular season campaign? Man, are they really jet lagging on not having Kenneth Walker with the Michigan State Spartans anymore? I mean, Kenneth Walker, ladies and gentlemen, for anybody that is not familiar with Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker now, ladies and gentlemen, has been drafted, and he is now a member of the Seattle Seahawks. So now, with that being said, Michigan State Spartans don't have Kenneth Walker no more. And the Michigan State Spartans are now 2-2 on the regular season campaign. So now the question is, what the heck is going on? What's going on with this football team? I mean, are we feeling a little, under the bubble here that we lost Kenneth Walker to the NFL? Kenneth Walker, ladies and gentlemen, was that tremendous athlete and the professional athlete that he was to this football team last year, folks. Kenneth Walker brought everything to the table. That's why he was the highest draft pick in the NFL. I mean, the running game for the Michigan State Spartans helped this Michigan State Spartans football team to a great record last year, and not to mention they made the playoffs and they were the better team. But now they're jet lagging all of a sudden. So are they feeling a little bit emotional now? Are they feeling a little lost as a football team where nothing is going correctly for this football team, that they are now all of a sudden 2-2 to begin the season? I mean, let's look at this. I mean, the Michigan State Spartans, folks, 2-2, and they lost to the Minnesota Golden Gophers 34-7. So let's look at their schedule here. All right, so at first, ladies and gentlemen, they started the season 2-0. They were hot. They were a great football team. They were like, all right, who's Kenneth Walker? We don't need Kenneth Walker. We're good without him, And then all of a sudden, they lose 2 games back to back. They lost last week, folks. They lost last week against Washington, and now they lose against Minnesota Golden Gophers, folks. Not to mention the Minnesota Golden Gophers are 4-0. And, ladies and gentlemen, the Michigan State Spartans, they lost to an unranked college football team. The Minnesota Golden Gophers are unranked, folks. Now they deserve to be in the top 25 college football rankings. Absolutely they do. With that performance, nonetheless, 34-7 against the Michigan State Spartans, who are ranked number 21 coming in this football game yesterday. And now all of a sudden they only 7 points to show up on the scoreboard. I mean, come on now. What's going on here? So yeah, 34-7, folks. 34-7 was the final score in that football game. So I don't know. Maybe they're really they're starting to feel effects of not having Kenneth Walker, folks. So with that being said, I mean, for the Michigan State Spartans, folks, they go up against the Maryland Terrapins next week at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So again, and not to mention, folks, I think we already talked about the Maryland Terrapins, who are right now off to a the Maryland Terrapins, folks, they are also right now 3-1 on the season for the Maryland Terrapins. So the Maryland Terrapins are not gonna slow down for the Michigan State Spartans. They're really not. Okay, they're 3-1. They already suffered a loss against the Michigan Wolverines. So they're gonna come up with an answer, and they're gonna dominate Michigan State Spartans, whether the Michigan State Spartans love it or not. So we shall see what's gonna unfold with this matchup next week. So actually, yeah. So Michigan State Spartans, ladies and gentlemen, will be going up against Maryland Terrapins next week, folks. They'll be going up against Maryland Terrapins. All right, for the Michigan State Spartans. As for Minnesota Golden Gophers, they'll be going up against Purdue. That'll be a 12 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time game next week, ladies and gentlemen. With that being said, let's give out some stat leaders here. Payne Thorne, he had 132 passing yards for the Michigan State Spartans. This is how they lost this game. Noah Kim had 1 passing touchdown. Jarek Broussard, 23 rushing yards through the ground. Horrible. No touchdowns to display. Cade McDonald, 31 receiving yards. No recorded sacks and no recorded interceptions. Now, ladies and gentlemen, for the Minnesota Golden Gophers, talk about a game here. Tanner Morgan had 268 passing yards. Tanner Morgan had 3 passing touchdowns. Mohamed Ibrahim had 103 rushing yards. Mohamed Ibrahim had 1 rushing touchdown. Mike Brown-Stiffens had 73 receiving yards. Ryan Stapp had 1 recorded sack. And Danny Strigo had also 1 recorded interception, folks. So this is how the Minnesota Gophers won this football game and dominated pretty much throughout the portion of 60 minutes of football to be undefeated 34-7 throughout the season. So, I mean, for anybody that actually, folks, for all the sports gamblers out there, I want to talk about something here. For all the sports gamblers that put money on this football game, the spread for the Minnesota Golden Gophers was minus 1.5. The money line was minus 160, and the total was 48.5. They were over 48.5 in total, and crazy nonetheless. So 34-7, Minnesota Golden Gophers, 4-0, ladies and gentlemen. All right. UNT against Memphis, ladies and gentlemen. That is the Memphis Tigers. 10-point differential game there. Memphis improved 3-1. North Texas Mean Green, they fall to 2-3. 44-34, 10-point differential game there. Your final score. GMU, ladies and gentlemen, against App. So James Madison Dukes against Appalachian State Mountaineers. 2-2. James Madison Dukes, they improved their record to 3-0. 32-28, your final, ladies and gentlemen, in that football game. Let's see here. Let's go with this one, ladies and gentlemen. The Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, 1-3. They lost, ladies and gentlemen, to Central Florida Knights. Central Florida Knights, ladies and gentlemen, they improved their record to 3-1. Final score, ladies and gentlemen, 27-10. Your final in that football game. Oregon Ducks, ladies and gentlemen, against WSU. Tight game there. The Oregon Ducks ranked number 18 coming in this football game yesterday. 44-41 your final score. They will be boosting up in the college football rankings, or they might stay the way at number 18. We shall see. Again, this was a tight battle too. We shall see what's going to happen with the Oregon Ducks nonetheless. Again, they went up against WSU. That's the Washington State Cougars. Again, Washington State Cougars are also 3-1. For the Oregon Ducks, they're also 3-1 on the season campaign. So we'll see where they at when the college rankings come out, ladies and gentlemen. All right, CSUS against CSU. CSUS, they prevailed 41-10, your final there. Tulsa against Mississippi. That's Ole Miss Rebels, folks. Ole Miss Rebels, they're undefeated. they beat Tulsa 35-27, your final there. Tulsa falls to 2-2 on the season. Arizona Wildcats against California. California, ladies and gentlemen, they beat Arizona Wildcats 49-31 on the season campaign. For the California Golden Bears, they're 3-1. For the Arizona Wildcats, they're off to 2-2 season. All right. ODU, ladies and gentlemen, that's the Old Dominion Mocknergs against Arkansas State Red Wolves. Tight contested battle there. ODU is 2-2. Arkansas State, they are 1-3 on the season's campaign. 29-26, your final. All right. Ball State Cardinals against Georgia Southern Eagles. Final score: Georgia Southern Eagles 34, Ball State Cardinals 23. 34-23 your final. Ball State Cardinals 1-3. Georgia Southern Eagles 3-1 on the season campaign. All right. All right, so Georgia Southern Eagles 3-1, ladies and gentlemen. Ball State, they fall to 1-3 on the season campaign. All right. So again, folks, Ball State Cardinals 1-3, Georgia Southern Eagles 3-1. 34-23 your final. Akron against Liberty 21-12 your final score there. Liberty improved to 3-1. Akron fall to 1-3 on the season. Navy against ECU. Navy, they beat ECU 23-20 your final. Navy improved to 1-2. ECU fall to 2-2. Rice against Houston. Houston prevailed 34-27 against Rice. 2-2 for both teams apiece on the season campaign. NIU against Kentucky Wildcats. The Kentucky Wildcats, ladies and gentlemen, they prevailed against NIU 31-23. Your final score: Kentucky Wildcats, ladies and gentlemen, coming into this game, number 9 yesterday. They prevailed 31-23. Your final. They're undefeated 4-0, ladies and gentlemen. Marshall against Troy. Troy, they beat Marshall 16-7. Your final. Both teams are at 2-2 to start the season. LT against USA. USA, ladies and gentlemen, beat LT 38-14. USA, ladies and gentlemen, they improved their record to 3-1. The South Alabama Jaguars are 3-1. Louisiana Tech Bulldogs are 1-3. 38-14, their final. All right, Texas State, ladies and gentlemen, against HCU. The Houston Christian Huskies against Texas State Bobcats, 34-0. The Texas State Bobcats improved their record to 2-2. Huskies, they fall, ladies and gentlemen. I believe this was their first game of the season. Yes, 0-1. 0-1. Or no, hold up. Yes, they're 0-1. Yep. So they're 0-1. The Houston Christian Huskies. All right, 34-0 your final. Arkansas Razorbacks, who came in number 10 yesterday. Ladies and gentlemen, what a tight game this one as well. Arkansas Razorbacks came in number 10. They went up against Texas A&M, who were ranked number 20, folks. A number 20 team, this was an upset as well. A number 20 team, ladies and gentlemen, beat Arkansas Razorbacks, a number 10 team. So Texas A&M, they improved their record to 3-1. Arkansas fall to 3-1, ladies and gentlemen, on the season. Number 20 being number 10 ranked college football team. 23-21 your final, ladies and gentlemen. Both teams are 3-1 on the season. USM against Tulane Green Waves. USM, they beat Tulane Green Waves 27-24. USM, they improved their record to 2-2. Tulane Green Waves fall to 3-1. Iowa Hawkeyes against the Rutgers football team. The Rutgers football team are not happy with their record as well. The Rutgers Scarlet Knights are not happy with their record. The head coach also said there needs to be some improvement with this football team as well. They are 3-1, and they lost yesterday against Iowa Hawkeyes, who are also 3-1 on the season. 27-10, your final there. Let's give out some shout-outs, ladies and gentlemen, here. Spencer Petress had 148 passing yards, no passing touchdowns recorded. LaShawn Williams, 64 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown by LaShawn Williams. Sam Laporte, 77 receiving yards. Aaron Graves, 1.5 recorded sacks. And Cooper DeShawn had 1 interception, folks. So that is your ball game there. 27-10, your final. And ladies and gentlemen, look at this. One more thing for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Disappointing. Even though they lost this game, Avon Simone recorded 300 passing yards through the air, and he had 1 passing touchdown, and he still lost the football game, ladies and gentlemen, against the Iowa Hawkeyes, who improved their record to 3-1, and they beat the Rutgers football team, again, with the final score 27-10. UNLV against USU. UNLV, ladies and gentlemen, prevailed 34-24, your final. Ladies and gentlemen, UNLV, they improved their record to 3-1. USU fall to 1-3. UNM against LSU Tigers. LSU improved their record to 3-1. Beat UNM 38-0, your final. Vanderbilt against Alabama Crimson Tide. Crimson Tide, number 2 in the football team, ranked number 2 in the football team. I will not be surprised if Alabama Crimson Tide go number 1, ladies and gentlemen, just because of the Georgia Bulldogs' performance yesterday. Again, Alabama put more points than the Georgia Bulldogs did, ladies and gentlemen, just so everybody's aware of that. Alabama Crimson Tide are 4-0, undefeated. They beat Vanderbilt 55-3, your final. I will not be surprised if Alabama Crimson Tide go number 1 in college football rankings, and they deserve to be number 1, nonetheless, based off that performance against Vanderbilt. All right, Charlotte against Southern Carolina. Southern Carolina, they beat Charlotte 56-20, your final. FAU against Purdue. Purdue prevailed in a 2-point differential game, 28-26, your final. The UConn Huskies against North Carolina State. North Carolina State undefeated, beat UConn Huskies 41-10, your final there. Miami, Ohio, 3-point differential game. They beat Northwestern 17-14, your final. Wisconsin, ladies and gentlemen, against Ohio State Buckeyes. Ohio State Buckeyes coming into this football game yesterday, ranked number 3. They went up against the Wisconsin Badgers. Ohio State Buckeyes, they beat the Wisconsin Badgers 52-21, your final score there, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I will not be surprised if they maybe move up or stay at number 3. But the Ohio State Buckeyes are a phenomenal football team starting this stretch of 4 weeks. Nonetheless, they went up against the Wisconsin Badgers, and they beat them yesterday 52-21. And folks, speaking of the Ohio State Buckeyes, C.J. Stroud, who is still the Heisman runner-up for the Heisman Trophy, ladies and gentlemen, recorded 281 passing yards, 5 recorded touchdowns. Travion Henderson, 121 rushing yards. Mion Williams, 2 rushing touchdowns. Mika Ibukua had 118 receiving yards. Jack Sawyer, 1 recorded sack. Tanner McAllister, 1 interception, folks. 52-21, Ohio State Buckeyes, they prevail 52-21. Your final, ladies and gentlemen, in that football game. All right, Hawaii, ladies and gentlemen, Hawaii against NMSU. Not much to talk about here. Hawaii is 1-4. NMSU is 1-4. NMSU 45-26. Your final score there, as both teams are 1-4 on the season campaign. ULL, ladies and gentlemen, yes, that is the ULL. That is the none other than UL Lafayette Racing Cajuns, who lost, ladies and gentlemen, to UL Monroe Warhawks 21-17. Your final score there, ladies and gentlemen. The UL Monroe Warhawks are 2-2. UL Lafayette Racing Cajuns are 2-2 on the season. 21-17, your final there, ladies and gentlemen. I love saying I love saying the UL Lafayette Rage Cajuns, man. I just love saying that name. I'll tell you what. It is an incredible name, nonetheless. All right. FSU, Florida State against Boston College. 44-14. FSU is undefeated. They beat Boston College 44-14 their final, ladies and gentlemen, in that one. Kansas State, this is the game I was talking about. Their rivalry here. I mean, the last 4 games, ladies and gentlemen, the last 4 rivalry games, their last 4 matchups, nonetheless, as those two teams face off each other, they're now tied 2-2, ladies and gentlemen. Again, Kansas State, they prevailed 41-34 in a tight contested battle. Oklahoma Sooners, they fall to 3-1. And they, ladies and gentlemen, this was an upset. Kansas State is unranked, and they beat Oklahoma Sooners, who were ranked number 6. They will be falling in the college football rankings when it gets published this afternoon. The USC Trojans are undefeated, 4-0. They came number 7 yesterday in the college football rankings. I will not be surprised if they take the number 6 spot from the Oklahoma Sooners. So USC Trojans are undefeated, 4-0. They beat Oregon. They beat the Oregon State Cowboys, I believe, yesterday. No, excuse me, the Oregon State Beavers. So USC Trojans, they beat the Oregon State Beavers 17-14. Their final score there. Trojans are 4-0. Beavers are 3-1 on the season. All right, Wyoming against BYU. BYU, ladies and gentlemen, 38-34. BYU's 3-1. Wyoming is 3-2. 38-34. Your final. And ladies and gentlemen, I was talking about this one. Jaron Hall, ladies and gentlemen, for the Birmingham Young football team, he has 4,000, ladies and gentlemen, I believe, or is it 4,000? Let me check here. 4,000. Let me see. His career. So for Jaron Hall, again, ladies and gentlemen, I think I did mention this throughout the show. Throughout the beginning of the show. Yes, he has 4,000, ladies and gentlemen, career yards for Jaron Hall for Birmingham Young. What a great accomplishment, nonetheless, for the Birmingham Young Cougars, who were ranked number 23 coming into this football game yesterday, beating Wyoming Cowboys. Wyoming Cowboys are 3-2. They fall to 3-2. Birmingham Young, they improved their record to 3-1, 38-24 their final. And again, speaking of Jaron Hall, ladies and gentlemen, he had 337 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns in this football game. Miles Davis had 131 rushing yards, ladies and gentlemen, through the ground. And ladies and gentlemen, Christopher Brooks had 1 rushing touchdown. Canoe Hill had 160 receiving yards. And Tyler Betty had 1 recorded sack, ladies and gentlemen. So, great performance by Birmingham Young Cougars. So BYU, ladies and gentlemen, great performance by this football team, nonetheless. What a great showing, and they prevailed. Improved their record to 3-1. Wyoming, ladies and gentlemen, Cowboys, they fall to 3-2. 38-24 your final, ladies and gentlemen, in that one. Utah Utes, ladies and gentlemen, Utah Utes, who came in number 14 yesterday, they improved their record to 3-1. For ASU, they fall to 1-3. 34-13, their final score there. Stanford against Washington, ladies and gentlemen. Washington, who are ranked number 24 coming to this football game, they beat Stanford 40-22 against. They beat Stanford Cardinals. Stanford Cardinals fall to 1-2. Washington Huskies fall. They improved their record to 4-0. Awesome performance there, ladies and gentlemen. So great showing by the Washington Huskies, nonetheless. All right, and ladies and gentlemen, final game of the night: SJSU against WMU, 34-6. Your final score there, ladies and gentlemen, in that football game. In that football game, 34-6. Your final. For this one, ladies and gentlemen, for the San Jose Spartans. San Jose Spartans, ladies and gentlemen, they improved their record to 2-1 on the season campaign. For the Western Michigan Broncos, ladies and gentlemen, they fall to 1-3 on the season. 34-6. Your final, ladies and gentlemen. Those are your college week 4 results, ladies and gentlemen. 60 games. Now, there is one game I want to talk about, folks. And this has nothing to do with the 60 games yesterday. But it is part of college football, though. They are part of the FCS program. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about Stephon F. Austin. Ladies and gentlemen, they beat Warner University Royals yesterday 98-0, folks. Yes, you are hearing that correctly. Warner University Royals are 0-1 on the season. Stephon F. Austin Lumberjacks are 2-2. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you are talking about 4 different quarterbacks, ladies and gentlemen, who put possibly, 8 touchdowns? Yes, 8 touchdowns, folks. Trey Self had 4 passing touchdowns, ladies and gentlemen, and 266 yards, 12 for 14 completion attempts. Preston Weeks had 8 for 9 completion attempts and 2 passing touchdowns. Brian Moyer, 74 yards, 7 for 10 completion attempts, and 1 passing touchdown. And Blake Short, ladies and gentlemen, 1 touchdown, 37 yards, 2 for 2 completion attempts. And ladies and gentlemen, out of those quarterbacks that I mentioned, nobody threw an interception, folks. That's how much this game was such a big factor. Stephon F. Austin, ladies and gentlemen, they beat, ladies and gentlemen, the Warner University Royals 98-0, folks, yesterday in the FCC program, folks. Talk about a football game. Oh, my God. Talk about a football game. And not to mention Aaron Sears, who had a 1 rushing touchdown through the ground, and Robert McGrew had 1 rushing touchdown through the ground. Man, you're talking about maybe 10 touchdowns total in this football game by 6 different players. Nonetheless, it was, oh my God, truly tremendous performance in that football game, folks. So, what a football game. What a football game, folks, and what a college week 4. Nonetheless, we move on to week 5 next week. Can you believe it? Week 5 of college football next week, folks. Oh my God. So, yeah. So yeah, talk about, ladies and gentlemen, talk about all right. I had to make a quick message. Sorry about that, folks. All right. So, folks, talk about a week 4 of college football, folks. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is a recap of that is a recap, ladies and gentlemen, of week 4 of college football. Week 4 of college football. All right? Awesome stuff, folks, from week 4 of college football. 60 games we recapped. And what a week 4 it was, nonetheless, in college football. All right. Let's talk about the NBA. All right, you know what? Before we get to the NBA, let's talk about NHL. NHL hockey started yesterday, folks. Yes, it did. We had NHL hockey preseason. And yesterday, here are the 4 games that did transpire to open up NHL hockey preseason. We had the Senators against the Maple Leafs. Maple Leafs, they beat Senators 4-1, your final score yesterday. The Flyers, ladies and gentlemen, they made their preseason debut against the Boston Bruins. 2-1 was your final score there. Senators against the Maple Leafs again. Maple Leafs and the Senators played 2 games yesterday, folks, in preseason showdown. So the first game, the Maple Leafs beat them 4-1, and the Senators took game 2 and that preseason showdown. They beat the Maple Leafs 4-2. And then, ladies and gentlemen, St. Louis Blues against the Coyotes. The Blues beat the Coyotes 5-4, your final in the NHL preseason. Now, we have preseason games going on today. We got the Blue Jackets against the Penguins, against Pittsburgh Penguins, that is, scheduled for 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Buffalo Sabres against the Capitals, the Washington Capitals, 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Yeah, Buffalo Sabres and Capitals, 2 p.m. Eastern Time later on today. Colorado Avalanche against Minnesota Wild, 4 o'clock. Ducks against Coyotes, 5 o'clock p.m. scheduled time in the NHL preseason game. You got the Winnipeg Jets against the Oilers, 6 o'clock p.m. later on. You got the Los Angeles Kings against Dallas, the Dallas Sharks. San Jose Sharks. I was talking about the Dallas Stars. Dallas Stars, they don't play, no. All right. So Los Angeles Kings against San Jose Sharks, 7 p.m. You got Calgary Flames against Cancun's at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. also Penguins and Blue Jackets, they get to play again tonight as well. And the Cancun's and the Flames play again tonight at 8 o'clock p.m. as well. I don't know how that's going to happen with 7 o'clock and 8 p.m. here. Somebody fill me in on that. And also, ladies and gentlemen, Golden Knights and Avalanche, again, they play again. And Avalanche play the Wild, but then Avalanche also play the Golden Knights at 9 o'clock. But I don't know, I'm a little bit puzzled by this one here. Flames and Cancun's, they play at 7 and then play again at 8 o'clock. How's that working out here? Unless their intermission games are not that long. Maybe it's only a 1 intermission game to start 7 o'clock. And they play that game for 1 hour. And then they move on to playing a full game at 8 o'clock. I don't know how that goes, but their preseason games are weird. I think it's just maybe a practice game. I don't think those games really count. They're just preseason games. So, with that being said, those games are happening in NHL hockey preseason. For all the hockey fans out there, enjoy those hockey games. That will be scheduled on later on today on your Sunday afternoon, nonetheless. All right, let us move on to the NBA, folks. And we have lots of ground cover to break down in the NBA. We're gonna go over some news in the NBA, along with games to look forward to in the NBA. Looking forward to the NBA schedule. The games that we're going to be looking forward to in the NBA schedule. That's after the preseason, though, of course. And then, ladies and gentlemen, the latest on Amani Bates. We do have the latest on Amani Bates. And we're going to talk about that right now. We have also some NBA signings to go over with you folks. So, with that being said, here's the latest report on Amani Bates. We talked about Amani Bates on our recorded podcast later this past week when, ladies and gentlemen, Amani Bates was arrested for possession of a gun in a stolen vehicle, folks. He was found driving a stolen vehicle, and he was in possession of a gun. Now, the latest report, ladies and gentlemen, is the court hearing is expected for Amani Bates on October 6th, ladies and gentlemen. Amani Bates is scheduled for a court hearing on October 6th, 2022. With that being said, folks, he did post bail. He did. But he is scheduled for a court hearing on October 6th, 2022. We'll have more information as it develops on Amani Bates, ladies and gentlemen. And ladies and gentlemen, you're all familiar with Amani Bates. That guy was probably the future talks of all talks, that he was going to be the next Kevin Durant possibility. Folks, that's how popular his name was. But ladies and gentlemen, he is now in the wrong hands, where he was in a possession of a gun. He was in a also stolen vehicle, folks, and he was arrested this past Tuesday, I believe. We talked about that on the recorded podcast. So for anybody that missed the latest news on Amani Bates, folks, please tune in to that recorded podcast for more information. But ladies and gentlemen, we will keep you up to date on any more information that develops from Amani Bates on Facebook group page, on Twitter, on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube channel, nonetheless, for the latest updates on what Amani Bates' latest update is going to be. Nonetheless, his court hearing, though, is expected to be on October 6th of 2022. All right. So now, with that being said, we are going to talk about the NBA. All right. And about the NBA schedule. And it did break out, folks. Now, for anybody that's aware, you did see it. You did view it because it was published to the public throughout maybe the end of August. During the summer month of August, I believe so. So here's what we know about the NBA schedule, folks. So with that being said, we're going to start off with, ladies and gentlemen, the Christmas schedule. Christmas Day schedule. Now, the NBA preseason, folks, is expected to start this Friday, folks. Yes, the Golden State Warriors are expected to start. The defending NBA champions are supposed to start this upcoming Friday, the NBA preseason. So NBA preseason will get underway. I should have those games for you. I think they're probably published by now. Let's see. NBA preseason games. Let's see. They start on this upcoming Friday, and I believe there's only one game this upcoming Friday. It's the Golden State Warriors, the defending NBA champions. They'll be on the road against the Washington Wizards, folks, this upcoming Friday, and that game is an early window game. That'll be a 6 o'clock in the morning game, folks. So that'll be the first preseason game this upcoming Friday between the Golden State Warriors and the Washington Wizards, folks. So that will be this upcoming Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Now, as far as the NBA regular season is concerned, so we have on Sunday, December 25th, talk about a Christmas Day game, folks. You're talking about Philadelphia 76ers versus the New York Knicks, the Los Angeles Lakers versus the Dallas Mavericks, the Milwaukee Bucks versus the Boston Celtics, and the Memphis Grizzlies against the defending NBA champions, the Golden State Warriors. And then you have the Phoenix Suns against Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets, folks. Talk about 5 blockbuster matchups on Christmas Day, folks. Oh my God, Christmas Day could not get any better and sweeter than it is this upcoming season, folks. Oh my God. I think our Christmas bucket list has really got impressive with these NBA games that are scheduled on Christmas Day. I think last time I checked my stockings, this is the best NBA preseason game. The NBA regular season games anybody could think of or dream of. Nonetheless, you don't know anything about ticket sales prices. They can be a lot cheaper for these games, folks, on Christmas Day, or they could possibly be expensive. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to do a lot of research on this, on exactly how much ticket sale prices are going to go for those Christmas Day upcoming matchups. So we'll definitely share those out to you, and we'll probably talk about it on the podcast. Nonetheless, on these upcoming 5-game matchups, on ticket sale prices, whether they'll be cheap or whether they'll be expensive. And I know a lot of people on Christmas Day definitely want to go out and check out these games. Not to mention, probably take a trip up to New York, to Madison Square Garden, and watch the 76ers battle it out against the New York Knicks at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. That's going to be the best game probably on Sunday afternoon anybody could think of. And then you got the Lakers against the Mavericks at 2:30. And then you got the Milwaukee Bucks against the Boston Celtics. And you got the Grizzlies against the defending champs at 8 o'clock p.m. And then the Phoenix Suns against Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets. So this is going to be a pretty interesting Christmas Day game, nonetheless, this upcoming season in the NBA. And then, folks, let's talk about another game that's in the works. Talk about, ladies and gentlemen, Martin Luther King Day game on Monday, January 16th, folks. You have the Boston Celtics at 1 p.m. against the Charlotte Hornets. And then you got the Miami Heat against the Atlanta Hawks. And ladies and gentlemen, the Miami Heat, Jimmy Butler against Trae Young. Ladies and gentlemen, against Yeah, against Trae Young, and ladies and gentlemen, the newest acquisition member of the Atlanta Hawks, ladies and gentlemen, and he goes by the name of Allentown native, the Allentown graduate, none other than our boy who's gonna represent. He's gonna represent Allentown, folks. He has the pride and joy that he's gonna represent Allentown, folks. Nonetheless, and we are talking about none other than, ladies and gentlemen, Tyrese Martin, folks. Tyrese Martin, he'll be small forward. He'll be playing on Martin Luther King Day against the Miami Hurricanes. And then you got DeAndre Hunter, DeJounte Murray, John Collins, Bogdanovich, AJ Griffin, folks, Clint Capella, Justin Holiday, folks. Oh my God, what a game this is going to be, folks. You got the Miami Heat versus Atlanta Hawks on Martin Luther King Day. And then Phoenix Suns against the Memphis Grizzlies. And then, ladies and gentlemen, the Houston Rockets against the Los Angeles Lakers. This is on Monday, January 16th, on Martin Luther King Day, folks. Talk about 4 blockbuster matchups on that day that we're going to be looking forward to nonetheless. And these are probably one of the hottest games on Martin Luther King you could think of. And ladies and gentlemen, here's one more that needs to be mentioned and talked about in the NBA schedule. And that is, ladies and gentlemen, none other than tip-off. To start off the NBA season, ladies and gentlemen, on Tuesday, October 18th. So we got the official word that Tuesday, October 18th is the NBA regular season, ladies and gentlemen. And the Philadelphia 76ers are going to be kicking off against the Boston Celtics, ladies and gentlemen, at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The Los Angeles Lakers will be going up against the defending NBA champions, the Golden State Warriors. 2 blockbuster game matchups on October 18th. And then, ladies and gentlemen, October 19th, you got the New York Knicks against the Memphis Grizzlies. You got the Dallas Mavericks against the Phoenix Suns, ladies and gentlemen. And then you got the Milwaukee Bucks against the Philadelphia 76ers on October 20th, ladies and gentlemen. And then you got the Clippers against the Los Angeles Lakers on October 20th. And you got the Celtics and the Heat on October 21st. And you got the Denver Nuggets against the Golden State Warriors at 10 o'clock on Friday, October 21st. So talk about these, ladies and gentlemen, these signings, these upcoming schedules for the NBA. This upcoming season. So, things to look forward to nonetheless. Things to look forward to. Definitely. All right. With that being said, folks, let's go over some NBA news. Well, we have some signings, I believe. I think we have some signings. So, ladies and gentlemen, this past week, Dean Wade has agreed to a 3-year, $18.5 million contract extension with the Cavaliers. That was mentioned this past week, folks. And also the latest reports is that the Spurs, Keldon Johnson, who suffered a dislocated right shoulder, will miss the start of training camp, but he's expected to return for the start of the regular season, folks. That's the latest reports on Keldon Johnson, folks, who will be expected to play in the regular season, but he will be missing training camp because of a suffered dislocated right shoulder that he suffered last season. And I believe also, ladies and gentlemen, CJ McCollum, who signed a 2-year extension worth $64 million. He'll be staying put with the New Orleans Pelicans. And that's about it. I believe so. Yeah, that's about it, folks. That's about it in the NBA. The NBA news. So we went over news to cover, along with games to look forward to in the NBA schedule season, NBA signings, and also the latest on Amani Bates, ladies and gentlemen. So we are up to date, folks. We're almost close to the 11 o'clock mark. We're going to talk about Major League Baseball, and then we will go over NFL afterwards. So, and we might be going to overtime. I did mention about that. I did mention about overtime. So we might be going on overtime throughout the show. Ladies and gentlemen, here reporting from Lincoln Financial Field, home of the Philadelphia Eagles, ladies and gentlemen. We can't wait to talk about the NFL, ladies and gentlemen, nonetheless. A lot of interesting points to talk about in the NFL, nonetheless. All right. With that being said, folks, Major League Baseball news. We got some news and we got some signings to go over with you. Yeah, so we got some. All right, so we got some news and signings to go over with you from, ladies and gentlemen, from Major League Baseball. So news and signings to go over with you, and we will definitely go over those with you here throughout the show. So with that being said, folks, Shohei Ohtani, ladies and gentlemen, this past week he recorded 200. Yes, 200 for the first time in his career. He has struck out 200 batters in a single season, folks. Talk about a great performance by Shohei Ohtani. Oh my God, what is Shohei Ohtani? What has he not done? You know, so 200, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time in his career. And speaking of 200 Ks, ladies and gentlemen, yeah. So speaking of 200 strikeouts for Shohei Ohtani, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, he has also the most home runs in a season during the modern era. So with that being said, folks, he is the top number one on that list with 34 home runs in the year 2022. The second on that list is Don Drysdale with 7 home runs dating to the year 1965. And then tied with second also is Earl Wilson with 7 home runs back in the year 1966. And then Carlos Zambrano with 6, ladies and gentlemen, dating to the year 2006. And also Fergie Jenkins, who's tied 4, he had 6 home runs in the year 1971. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, Shohei Ohtani is doing the impossible, folks. He really, really is. He's having an impressive, phenomenal season at that. With 34 home runs, folks, 200 striking out batters for the first time in his career. What is there that Shohei Ohtani hasn't done? You know? And he just continues to be, folks, he continues to be very impressive. Now, ladies and gentlemen, another guy that needs no introduction, folks, is Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge, ladies and gentlemen, talk about a phenomenal professional athlete here who's doing amazing things on the baseball field. The most home runs in a single Major League Baseball season, folks. Barry Bonds with 73 dating back to the year 2001. Mark McGwire, 70 home runs dating to the year 1998. Sammy Sosa with 66 home runs dating back to the year 1998, folks. Mark McGwire with 65 home runs dating to the year 1999. Sammy Sosa with 64 home runs dating to the year 2001. Sammy Sosa, 63 home runs dating to the year 1999. Roger Maris with 61 dating to the year 1961, folks. And Babe Ruth. And ladies and gentlemen, speaking of Babe Ruth, Aaron Judge is now tied with Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth hit 60 home runs back in the year 1927, folks, with 60 home runs. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Aaron Judge has now tied that, ladies and gentlemen. 60 home runs in the year 2022, folks. 60 home runs, folks. Talk about an amazing season, ladies and gentlemen, for Aaron Judge. Now, folks, I need to talk about, this is something big, all right? This is something big, ladies and gentlemen, coming from the Major League Baseball news. And I really want people to tune into this news coverage right now. You, ladies and gentlemen, you're about to hear something that probably is going to amaze the heck out of you when I say this, when I mention this news update here. I'm going to tag some people in because this is something that you probably do not want to miss. All right, so I tagged some people in here, folks. Folks, what I'm about to tell you, your eyes are going to be shocked. What I'm about to say, and ticket sales, ladies and gentlemen, are going to be over the roof. So right now, ladies and gentlemen, what Aaron Judge is doing is pretty insane. And as of right now, he still stands at 60. He still stands at 60 home runs. But, ladies and gentlemen, actually, I'm going to share this. I am going to actually share. I want everybody to really know exactly what I'm talking about here. So hold on, bear with me here, folks, because I'm about to show you something that you probably are going to be amazed at what I'm about to show you, folks. All right. So, all right, here, hold on, let me check something. All right, so folks, here is what I'm about to show you. And this is going to be very, very impressive for sports fans. So, all right, so ladies and gentlemen, look at the latest report here. Look at the latest report for all the people that I tagged in. Look at the latest report on this news here. So, ladies and gentlemen, to all the New York Yankee fans out there, to everybody that tunes in to the Yankees game, ticket sales are going to be boosting over the roof. $2 million, ladies and gentlemen, is up for grabs. Yes, you heard that right, folks. $2 million. Right now, Aaron Judge is currently at 60 home runs. But the latest report is the amount of money that JP Cohen, the president of Memory Lane Auctions, is offering, ladies and gentlemen, to whomever catches Aaron Judge his 62 home run ball. He is offering, ladies and gentlemen, my man Kevin. You know how much? You know what $2 million could do to a person? You know what $2 million could do to a person, my friend? I mean, $2 million $2 million is a life changer to anybody that grabs any ticket sale and goes to this game and witnesses, not only you're witnessing history in the making, but hey, for crying out loud, you even might meet the president of Memory Lane Auctions, JP Cullen, which would be an honor. And you might take a few pictures with Aaron Judge here and there. So, talk about $2 million up for grabs, folks. He is willing to pay $2 million for anybody that catches Aaron Judge, his 62 home run ball hitter. And it could be done tonight. It could be done today, folks. It could be done today. You never know. So, talk about ticket sales, folks. Rising right now to the limit that everybody's going to be paying so much. They're going to be paying so much to be in this game, to witness not only history in the making, but the man behind number 99, the man himself, who's doing probably the impossible. And this is history right here. This is history, folks. I mean, not only the $2 million will change a person's life, but my man Eddie, if you catch him, my friend, you better think of somebody and treating them to a dinner and a movie nonetheless. Judge is doing incredible things. He is definitely doing so many incredible things, Angel. It's phenomenal. It's inspirational at that. It is inspirational. It's at a loss of words. It's eye-buzzing. It's pretty much what I'm catching at here. It is eye-buzzing. It really is. He is doing the unthinkable. He definitely will be able to buy the movie theater. You're right. I mean, there's no dinner in the movie with $2 million. That's for sure. But yeah, I mean, he could buy a movie theater. He could probably buy his own house. He could invest. He can invest. They're actually going to be talking about this for years to come. Absolutely. This is just too amazing. I mean, this is history in the making, and this is a great time to be a sports fan. This is really a great time to be a sports fan. It is just too tremendous what this man is doing in the history of baseball. And not to mention, right now he's tied with Babe Ruth with 60 home runs. But, folks, everybody's going to be glued to their seats that 62 could come later on today. It really can. And $2 million is up for grabs, with that being said. So, it is awesome. It is awesome stuff. What we're going to be witnessing here. It is going to be awesome what we're going to be witnessing. So this is history in the making, folks. It really is. It really is. So it's up for grabs, and hopefully people take advantage of it. It doesn't come too often, though. It really does not. Again, with that being said, folks, that is probably one more thing from Major League Baseball. Tony La Russa, who went successful surgery for his heart, ladies and gentlemen. He will be missing the remainder of the season. So he'll be back fully healthy and ready to go next season as we speak. So Tony La Russa will not be on the mound coaching the Chicago White Sox for the rest of this season as we speak. And also, ladies and gentlemen, more news to follow from Major League Baseball to share with everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, Luis Castillo, who signed a 5-year extension with the Seattle Mariners. So he'll be staying put 5 years worth $108 million, ladies and gentlemen, with the Seattle Mariners. So he'll be staying with the Mariners for many years to come, ladies and gentlemen, with the Mariners. All right. So again, that's pretty much it for your Major League Baseball signings, folks. I think, yeah, that's about it. I don't think I missed anything. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. Let's see here. If I missed anything. No, I think we're good. We're good. All right. Oh yeah, one more thing. Ladies and gentlemen, the Braves. Ladies and gentlemen, have placed right-hander Spencer Strider on the 15-day injured list due to a strained left oblique muscle, folks. Oblique muscle. So they did place him on a 15-day injured list to heal the right hand. To heal that injury. So again, the Braves have placed right-hander Spencer Strider on a 15-day injured list due to a strained left oblique muscle, folks. That's the latest reports there. And that's coming from the Atlanta Braves organization, nonetheless. All right. I think that's about it from Major League Baseball, folks. Are we ready for? Oh yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if I mentioned this. Nolan Orlando from the St. Louis Cardinals secures he secures his seventh 30 home run, 100 RBI season, folks. Tremendous. And ladies and gentlemen, also the Houston Astros have picked up their 100th win of the season. And oh yeah, how could we forget? Huh? How could we forget about another St. Louis Cardinals guy? Albert Pujols, the man to do it behind the mound, the man that we grew up with to see another history in the making, folks. Albert Pujols, ladies and gentlemen, achieved 700 home runs. Yes, he did that against the Los Angeles Dodgers. And then, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of the Los Angeles Dodgers, well, during that night, the Los Angeles Dodgers were shaking their heads, and they were itching and scratching and buzzing. Who did that home field advantage belong to? Did it belong to us or did it belong to Albert Pujols? Because they were outplayed and outcoached. Because St. Louis Cardinals, ladies and gentlemen, they beat the Los Angeles Dodgers on that night 11-0, folks. 11-0. They were outcoached, outplayed, and Albert Pujols had a heck of a night. And not to mention the Los Angeles Dodgers fans, they were cheering for him and instead of booing him. The guy that they grew up watching since he started in Major League Baseball career. I mean, can you blame them, though? Can you blame them? But what a hurting, though. What a hurting that Albert Pujols did in Los Angeles, folks. I mean, they were itching and scratching, figuring out who did that home field advantage belong to. Did it belong to LA or did it belong to Albert Pujols? Because I know last time I checked, we were playing that game in LA, and we still got outplayed and outcoached 11-0. Even though, and we got like plus 100 wins on the season. So that doesn't make sense. So help me make it sense, nonetheless. Again, with that being said, folks, talk about the guy that needs no introduction at all, though. Albert Pujols, folks. He is, ladies and gentlemen, he joins Hank Aaron as the only player in Major League Baseball history with at least 3,000 hits and 700 home runs, folks. Talk about an impressive heck of a season for Albert Pujols. Ladies and gentlemen, again, here are the top four on that list. Barry Bonds with 762 home runs. Hank Aaron with 755 home runs. Babe Ruth with 714. Yes, Babe Ruth is on that list too. And ladies and gentlemen, Albert Pujols with 700 on that 700 list now. He's on that list, Mark. Congratulations are in order. And he joins the 700 club indeed. And ladies and gentlemen, another thing that you're probably going to enjoy are some stats. So love the stats, love the game. Here are the fastest home to first average time, ladies and gentlemen, in Major League Baseball. Shani Ohtani, ladies and gentlemen, with 4.07. 4.12 by the Kansas City Royals. 4.13 by the Cleveland Guardians. 4.13 by Los Angeles Angels. 4.14 by Miles Straw from the Cleveland Guardians. Miles Straw, ladies and gentlemen, with 4.14 out of the Cleveland Guardians. And also Trey Turner out of the Los Angeles Dodgers with 4.14. This is from the fastest home to first average to the first average time, folks. So Shohei Ohtani with 4.07, Bobby Witt Jr. with 4.12, Andres Gimenez with 4.13, Alex Thomas with 4.13, Miles Straw with 4.14, Trey Turner with 4.14 for the Los Angeles Dodgers. So awesome stuff, ladies and gentlemen, from the Major League Baseball perspective. What a great time to be a baseball fan, folks. What a great time to be a baseball fan. Really. All right, are you guys ready for the NFL? Are you guys ready? Are you guys ready for the NFL? Oh man, what a great day to be here in the city of Philadelphia, folks. What a great day to be here in Philadelphia, huh? It is now 11:13 a.m., folks, and we are here in the city of brotherly love. Oh my God, they don't call it the brotherly love for no reason, though, right? You know, so with that being said, folks, thank you for joining us on this Sunday. Worldwide Sport Updates, your podcast, your news, your local community. Yes, we are going to go to overtime today. I'm going to do it at the goodness of my heart. We are going to go to overtime. So we're going to take our time here because we have a lot of ground to cover. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about the Monday Night Football games that happened last week and what happened behind that stadium. So, Justin Jefferson. What about Justin Jefferson, huh? What happened to Justin Jefferson that we saw in week 1 against the Green Bay Packers? Wow, did he get totally uncomfortable? And Darius Slay, he had his number, folks. Oh my God, did he have his number? Did he have his number or what? Now, talk about Monday Night Football again, folks. And I just want to say something here. 2 Monday night games, ladies and gentlemen, in week 2 of the regular season of the NFL. The Philadelphia Eagles beat the Minnesota Vikings but by final score 24-7. And then the Buffalo Bills, they beat the Tennessee Titans 41-7. Talk about a great Monday night game. Huh? Talk about a great Monday night game, folks. Now, I want to say something here. I want to say perfectly clear on something here. Are the Philadelphia Eagles for real? Are we seeing the 2018 the version of the Philadelphia Eagles? Are we seeing Jalen Hurst, the version of Big Nick in Nick Foles? I mean, does Jalen Hurst also have those big sack of cojones that he's capable of possibly carrying this team? Now, when I speak here, they are 2-0 right now. Okay, they are 2-0. They go up against the Washington Commanders, folks, later on today. They play the Jacksonville Jaguars. They play the Arizona Cardinals. And then they play the Dallas Cowboys. That's the remaining games before the bye week. All right? Commanders, Cardinals, Jacksonville, and who's the other team? Here, let's see here. Hold on. So it's Jacksonville. Oh, so it's the Commanders. Okay, so it's Commanders today, Jacksonville, Cardinals, Cowboys. All right? Now, there is talks, ladies and gentlemen, that the Eagles could go 6-0. I hope I am not delusional here. All right? I hope I'm not delusional, but look at this. Let's look at the table here. Dak Prescott is still out with an injury, who supposedly said he'll be back in 4 weeks. Okay? He said he'll be back in 4 weeks. Jacksonville Jaguars aren't doing too well. Carson Wentz beat them. All right, back in week 1. The Cardinals, well, they barely beat the Las Vegas Raiders. All right, they barely beat the Las Vegas Raiders. And they got the Commanders today. Again, the Eagles are familiar with Carson Wentz and what he brings to the table. So, with that being said, are we looking at the Philadelphia Eagles going 6-0, folks? 6-0. We might. Now, I want to talk about Monday night. I want to talk about Monday Night Football again, folks. Monday Night Football, ladies and gentlemen, brought some eyebrow raising, folks, to how Jalen Hurts really performed against the Minnesota Vikings. He put 300, ladies and gentlemen, passing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns, ladies and gentlemen, against the Minnesota Vikings, behind what you're looking at right now at Lincoln Financial Field. So, again, folks, compared to Michael Vick, we're going to put a comparison here. Jalen Hurts on Monday, ladies and gentlemen, put 333 passing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. The last time the person to do that was Michael Vick, dating back to the year November 15 of 2010, ladies and gentlemen. 333 passing touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns, folks. He did that on November 15, 2010, folks. Yes. That is history for the Eagles in a single game, nonetheless. And both were on Monday Night Football. Both were on Monday nights. Under the lights. Dancing under the lights. Folks, Michael Vick and Jalen Hurts put on the same showing, nonetheless. They put on the same showing, nonetheless. Also, ladies and gentlemen, again, Jalen Hurts in the first half, 17 for 20 completion attempts, 301 total yards, and 3 touchdowns. You know, and ladies and gentlemen, speaking of that, the Vikings' entire offense was only 93 touchdowns and 93 yards and 1 touchdown. Horrible by the Minnesota Vikings. Horrible by the Minnesota Vikings. Again, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of Jalen Hurts, again, the quarterbacks with 300 passing yards and 50 rushing yards on a 1 passing touchdown and 2 rushing touchdowns in the game. Jalen Hurts, he did that on Monday night. Russell Wilson did that back in the year 2019. Michael Vick did that back in the year 2010. Dante Culpepper did that back in the year 2002. Steve Young did that back in the year 1998. And also in the year 1991. And also Bobby Lane did that in the year 1950, folks. So Jalen Hurts is noticeable noticeable, where it matters. Now, let's talk about the Buffalo Bills. That dynamic duo. That impressive duo by Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. Ladies and gentlemen, just gives me goosebumps. I mean, can you imagine if we see the Buffalo Bills versus the Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl this upcoming year? I mean, you never know. You never know. But, folks, talk about a revenge game for the Buffalo Bills. Last year, folks, you all witnessed Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen going to Nashville, Tennessee to play the Tennessee Titans. All right? And they lost, ladies and gentlemen, based off Josh Allen gambling to go for it on fourth down, and they did not convert on fourth down. So Tennessee Titans prevailed. Now this time showing on Monday, the Tennessee Titans went up to Buffalo, the Highmark Stadium. And folks, did the Buffalo Bills answer with revenge and demolish the Tennessee Titans, Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry. I mean, they just proved to the whole world who the heck is Mike Vrabel, who the heck is Ryan Tannehill, and who the heck is Derrick Henry. They say that they're all big, but they did not show it under the lights. Man, they had no answer. 7 points on the board? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? 7 points? Not to mention, Buffalo, the dynamic duo. This is where I'm going to go off right now. This is where I'm going to go off based off this performance here. Based off the dynamic duo of Josh Allen, folks, and Stephon Diggs. Josh Allen, folks, he had 26 for 38 completion attempts, 317 passing yards, and 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns? And then Stephon Diggs, 3 touchdowns, 12 receiving yards. 12 receptions, and 108 receiving yards. 12 receptions, 108 receiving yards, and 3 touchdowns by Stephon Diggs alone in a single game. And Josh Allen 4 touchdowns. You kidding me, right? Against a Titans defense? What the heck is going on? What kind of game was I watching on Monday? The highlights. The game was already played out. It was already over before it began. But, watching the highlights, I already stopped it at halftime because the game was already a one-sided affair. It was already a one-sided game already. When I was watching the highlights, it was already a one-sided game, folks. There was no need to watch the second half because the Buffalo Bills were dominant as a team. Folks, the Buffalo Bills so far in weeks 1 and week 2, folks, have been dominating their opponents 50-plus points. 50-plus points combined. Yes. Talk about outscoring their opponents, folks. And not to mention, the Tennessee Titans, you should be ashamed. Look at this. The Buffalo Bills, they just came off defeating the defending Super Bowl champion, the Los Angeles Rams. And they have a 10-day rest. 10 days off. 10 days off. Well rested. And you would expect the Buffalo Bills to be rusty, right? After that. And you let them put 41 points on you? Wow. You need to go back and analyze. You need to go back and wake up and smell the coffee here. Horrible performance. Horrible. Oh my God. 41-7? 41? Are you kidding me? Man. The question is, I don't think there should be a question anyway. I think the Tennessee Titans their season's over before they even started. I think they're going to be a winless team until they figure things out. How can you even how can you even come back with that performance that you just did under the lights with thousands of people watching worldwide? You get demolished on Monday Night Football. You know, it's disappointing. It's disappointing. It flat out is. So, with that being said, folks, Josh Allen deserves more recognition, where it's due nonetheless. 30 plus passing touchdowns and 5 plus rushing touchdowns in consecutive seasons for Josh Allen, folks. First player in NFL history to do so. Crazy. Crazy stat by Josh Allen, folks. Crazy, crazy stat. Crazy, crazy stat, folks, by Josh Allen. I mean, it is very, 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 very disappointing. All right, we got some NFL news, ladies and gentlemen, to share with you. Packers left tackle, ladies and gentlemen, David Bakhtiari. He is expected to make his season debut versus the Buccaneers later on today. That's some NFL injury news to go over with you. George Kittle is also expected to play, ladies and gentlemen. Alvin Kamara is expected to play. Jameis Winston is expected to play, ladies and gentlemen, this afternoon. Also, J.K. Dobbins, ladies and gentlemen, making his debut for the Baltimore Ravens. He'll be under center in the backfield position for the Baltimore Ravens later on this afternoon. Also, I believe I also got a tag from somebody regarding the Buffalo Bills. They're going to be out with some key players. They're going to be out with some key players. I think this was brought to my attention. Let's see. Oh yeah, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of attention, Micah Hyde, ladies and gentlemen, of the Buffalo Bills. He has been placed on IR. So, he will not be... I mean, the Buffalo Bills secondary is beat up. Yeah, it is beat up. I think it was brought to my attention that he is beat up. So, ladies and gentlemen, Micah Hyde, he is placed on IR. So he will not be with the Buffalo Bills against the Dolphins. They played the Dolphins. We're gonna talk about some history here with the Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills, folks. And I'll tell you what, can we look at another upset? Do I smell another upset? Do I smell another upset? Because, ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not, go back to week 1 of the regular season. And, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about these Dolphins in a couple minutes here. Because are the Dolphins for real? Or are they just playing pretend football right now? Because they are 2-0. And who expected it? You know, last week, they came back from behind, folks. They were down. You know the score was 28-3, right? Yeah, it was 28-3, folks. They came back and they beat the Baltimore Ravens on the road in a unbelievable statement. Oh my God, in an unbelievable statement. Nonetheless, I mean, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that definitely throughout the show here. Again, are they for real though? Are they for real? Because again, Tua Tagovailoa, man, what a performance! What a performance he put on last week against Baltimore, folks. And he did not disappoint. None whatsoever. He did not disappoint, none whatsoever, folks. None whatsoever. So with that being said, folks, Buffalo is beat up in the secondary. Micah Hyde is placed on IR. And I believe somebody else brought to my attention here. Let me see. Who brought this to my attention? Somebody brought the injury report to my attention from the Buffalo Bills. Let me see something here. Who brought this to my attention? If I could find the person who brought this to my attention, that'd be great. Yes. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, Elim and Bedford, ladies and gentlemen, and Johnson and Hamlin, so again, the entire secondary is out, ladies and gentlemen, for the Buffalo Bills. So again, Elim and Benford and Johnson and Hamlin are the rookies that will be starting today for the Buffalo Bills. Pretty much is the latest reports there, but the secondary is beat up as we speak, folks. Micah Hyde, he's placed on IR. He will not be able to go. But ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, Jameis Winston is good to go. Alvin Kamara is good to go. And George Kittle is expected to go. J.K. Dobbins also expected to go. More news to go over the NFL, though. Let's see here. Let's see who else. Oh yeah. Also, ladies and gentlemen, Sammy Watkins from the Green Bay Packers. He has been placed on IR. I don't know if it's for the season, but he has been placed on IR. We don't know when Sammy Watkins will be back, but they did put him on injured reserve, on the injured reserve list. Also, ladies and gentlemen, Taylor Loon will miss the remainder of the season with a knee injury. That's from the Tennessee Titans. So again, Taylor Loon, ladies and gentlemen, Taylor Luan from the Tennessee Titans. He's number 77. He will be missing the remainder of the season, folks. All right. And J.K. Dobbins will be expected to start. Also, ladies and gentlemen, news more to go over with you. Patrick Mahomes. He has 17 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He has thrown 17 touchdown passes since his last interception, folks. So he has 17 touchdowns, 0 interceptions since his last interception, nonetheless. Russell Wilson will be going up against the 49ers. He is 17-4. His record is 17-4 against the 49ers, folks. That's the record that he holds against the 49ers. All right. With that being said, I believe we covered everything else in the NFL. I'm pretty sure there's not anything else. Oh yeah, ladies and gentlemen. Now, do you all recall Akeem Hicks of the Buccaneers? So Nika Dakmoisu, ladies and gentlemen, who is a NFL free agent, he played 49 games for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He missed 0 games in 3 years. Now, Akeem Hicks, who signed on June 2nd of 2022 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he's expected to miss 4 games. If anybody did not know that. Yes, he's expected to miss 4 games. Just to keep everybody up to date on that. Nonetheless. All right. All right. We are going to talk about Week 3 fantasy rankings. We will get to that in a couple minutes here. Also, more NFL news to share with you folks. So somebody has a problem calling plays in the NFL, apparently. And you all know who that is, right? Denver Broncos. Yeah, Nathaniel Hackett. He's having a problem calling plays in the NFL, apparently. So with that being said, he has hired, ladies and gentlemen, Jerry Rosenberg as the senior assistant to help with game day decisions. So, yes. So apparently, Jerry Rosenberg will be a senior assistant for Nathaniel Hackett, who's having a problem calling game plays while he's on the sidelines coaching the Denver Broncos, apparently. Can you believe that? That's like the first time I ever heard that in the NFL. That you have to hire somebody to help you call plays. Pretty wild. Also, ladies and gentlemen, did you know? Here's another interesting factor. Now, you know the Detroit Lions are 1-1 on the season, right? So far, ladies and gentlemen, they are 7.2 rushing yards per attempt, and they lead number 1 in the NFL, apparently. So that's more news to go over with you on that. Coincidence? I think not. I mean, the way they performed last week against the Commanders, yeah, they did prove to themselves that they're the number 1 team in the NFL with 7.2 rushing yards. But again, will they continue that against the Minnesota Vikings later on today, though? That's the ultimate question, though. So we shall see. We shall wait and see. All right. We are going to go over, ladies and gentlemen, the Week 3 rankings in the NFL. We'll go over those with you here in a couple minutes. But let me see if I have covered everything, though. So we did go over the injury report on the latest. We did cover some NFL. Well, actually, no. We have some more NFL news to go over. Let's see here. Yes, we do have more NFL news to go over, folks. So, ladies and gentlemen, yes, more NFL news to go over with you. Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Green Bay Packers is scheduled for today. Here's some history, folks. The question going into today's game, will this be the last time we see 2 quarterbacks playing on the field together? Now, why are you guys you're probably wondering, why am I saying that? Well, Rodgers versus Brady, ladies and gentlemen, it is the first time in NFL history that 2 3-time MVPs will face off in a game. And that game, ladies and gentlemen, is scheduled for this afternoon at 4 o'clock. 4:25 is kickoff time. So between probably the 2 greatest GOATs of all time in the National Football League. Probably 2 future Hall of Famers at that. At most. So it'll be Tom Brady, ladies and gentlemen, versus Aaron Rodgers. And the ultimate question on the back of everybody's mind, will this be the last time these two players dance? You know, tiptoeing and dancing on the field. Will they? And not to mention, when they're dancing on the field later on this afternoon, will they be able to keep up with each other? You know, if this becomes like possibly a high-scoring affair ball game, nonetheless. So that should be like a wait yet to be determined outlook, nonetheless. So can you believe the analogy that I put in these football games? It is truly amazing. It is beautiful at the same time. You know, I feel like I'm putting Dancing with the Stars with NFL. Yeah, this is me, man. This is typical me, nonetheless. All right, more NFL news to go over with you folks. Justin Herbert, he is also a game time decision later on this afternoon for the Chargers. So he's trying to play a little ear by ear. He might be going, he might not. We shall wait and see how Justin Herbert, what's his status going to be later on this afternoon. With that being said, folks, something has been sold by Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert, ladies and gentlemen, joins Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes as the only third quarterback to have his rookie card sold for over $1 million, folks. Talk about money spending right there. Talk about money spending nonetheless there. Yup. And ladies and gentlemen, Lamar Jackson. For the first time yet in NFL history, a player to record both a rushing and passing touchdown of at least 70 yards in a same game. And ladies and gentlemen, who else other than to do that than Michael Vick? Yep, Michael Vick, ladies and gentlemen. He did that. So, again, Lamar Jackson is on that list. Ladies and gentlemen, he is on that list. The most by a quarterback in NFL history. 11 regular season, so 100 plus rushing games. So again, he's most by any quarterback in NFL history. And behind that is Michael Vick, nonetheless, folks. So pretty awesome. Nonetheless, therefore, congratulations to Lamar Jackson are in order. With that being said. Also, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of last week between the Cardinals and the Las Vegas Raiders, the Cardinals and the Dolphins, who each of those teams faced a 20-point deficit, yes, at halftime, and then they came back to win. It's the first time in NFL history, folks, that multiple teams have overcome a 20-point deficit at halftime on the same day. Can you believe that? First time in NFL history, too. All right, now, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of Tua Tagovailoa and Tyreek Hill in that performance last week against the Baltimore Ravens, folks, I just want to talk about these numbers by Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Tyreek Hill had 11 receptions, 190 receiving yards, and 2 touchdowns recorded last week against the Baltimore Ravens on the road. Jalen Waddle, ladies and gentlemen, had 11 receptions, 171 receiving yards, and 2 touchdowns, folks. Madden video game numbers there, ladies and gentlemen. Madden video game numbers. And speaking of the Dolphins, Tua Tagovailoa, folks, for all the fantasy owners that play fantasy football, the guy put up 40.8 in fantasy points last week, folks. Tua Tagovailoa. So for anybody that have Tua Tagovailoa as your starting quarterback in fantasy, well, he put up 40.8 points, ladies and gentlemen, in fantasy football against the Baltimore Ravens defense last week in that comeback fashion, nonetheless. So again, he had 36 for 50 completion attempts, 469 yards, 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, folks. Oh my God, great performance, nonetheless. Flat out performance, nonetheless. All right, we got to talk about the New York Jets. The New York Jets, folks. Hip hip hooray for the New York Jets! Hip hip hooray for the New York Jets! Do you know, ladies and gentlemen, and I did mention this last week's podcast, do you know they were winless for the month of September? Well, not anymore. Yes, they beat the Cleveland Browns last week, and they finally achieved it, folks. So, with that being said, the New York Jets, they pick up their first win since the year 2018, folks. Yeah, that they have won a game in the month of September. So that drought is completely over now. So congratulations to the New York Jets. Are in order nonetheless. Are definitely in order. And speaking of the New York Jets, folks. Now, last week you all witnessed on September 18 of 2022. The Carolina Panthers, ladies and gentlemen, they went up against the New York Giants. The New York Giants won that football game. 19-16 was your final. The New York Jets, they beat the Cleveland Browns 31-30. The Pittsburgh Pirates, they lost to the New York Mets 7-3. And then the New York Yankees, they beat the Milwaukee Brewers 12-8. That was on September 18 of 2022. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the last time all New York teams that won those games was dating back to September 27 of 2009, folks. The last time the New York Giants, the Jets, the Mets, the Yankees all won on the same day was back on September 27th of 2009, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. So, with that being said, talk about all New York teams winning last week on September 18th, 2022. So, again, it has definitely been a lot of history for New York fans nonetheless. And not to mention the Jets, who finally overcame that loss in the month of September, losing. They were winless in the month of September, folks. You have no idea. Not to mention the last time they've been in the playoffs, folks, was back in the year 2011. So they're trying to get over the hump, baby steps, nonetheless. So with that being said, they did it little by little, and they'll get there eventually. And we'll talk about who they'll be playing today, and will they get their second victory of the season, nonetheless. Also, the Jacksonville Jaguars, we got to talk about them. You know they they actually outscored the Indianapolis Colts 24-0 last week. Well, with that being said, the Jaguars just got their 8th shutout in franchise history, folks. The Jaguars defeated the Colts last week 24-0, folks. And it's their 8th shutout in franchise history, and their first since the year 2018, which was also against the Indianapolis Colts. Talk about history there. Yeah. Also, with that being said, folks, look at this. The Jacksonville Jaguars and the history between Jacksonville and Indianapolis. Back in the year 2017, folks, the Jacksonville Jaguars, they beat the Indianapolis Colts 27-0 back on 2017. Also in 2018, folks, the Jacksonville Jaguars, they beat Indianapolis Colts 6-0, folks. And then, you know what? Last year, Jacksonville Jaguars beat Carson Wentz and Indianapolis Colts 24-0. So, and look at this. Well, actually, no. Well, no. This is this year, 24-0. 2022, they beat Matt Ryan 24-0. But last year, the Jacksonville Jaguars, I think they did beat Indianapolis in Week 17 as well, if I recall that. I don't even know why they don't have 2021 in here, because the Jacksonville Jaguars did beat the Indianapolis Colts in Week 18 of last year as well. And that's where Carson Wentz was the quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. So I don't know why they don't have 2001 on that list as well. But with that being said, Jacksonville Jaguars, they pretty much have the Indianapolis Colts number. Yeah, they've proven it too, nonetheless. All right, now, the question, ladies and gentlemen, on the back of everybody's mind. We have 6 teams that are undefeated right now in the National Football League. We have the Buffalo Bills, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Kansas City Chiefs, the Miami Dolphins, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the New York Giants. Now, ladies and gentlemen, 1 hour حكي معه برا.
الساعة 12.
ايه 1 hour.
ما بينطر.
All right. So with that being said, yeah. So we have 6 teams undefeated. 6 teams undefeated. All right. So out of those 6 teams, which 6 teams of those 6 teams that are undefeated, which of them will remain undefeated the longest? Now, the Giants, they play the Cowboys Monday night. Okay, they play them Monday night. The Dolphins, they go against the Buffalo Bills. One of those 2 teams are going to fall and suffer their first loss this afternoon. The Kansas City Chiefs, they play the Indianapolis Colts, so they're going to go up 3-0. This is an easy win for the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. Tampa Bay, they go up against the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers. We'll get into that a little bit here. And the Philadelphia Eagles, they go up against the Washington Commanders. So, Kansas City should be 3-0. They'll be good to go. The Giants, they'll play the Cowboys. We'll get into that in a couple minutes. With that being said, folks, I think that pretty much covers all the NFL news that I had to cover. So I think we're in great shape. But speaking of the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins, folks, speaking of them, the Bills have won 7 straight matchups against the Miami Dolphins. Seven straight matchups, folks. Last time, the Dolphins and the Bills met. The Buffalo Bills beat the Dolphins 42-17, 31-21, 37-20, 31-28, 56-26, 35-0, and 26-11, folks. Those were the 7 straight matchups against the Dolphins last time the Buffalo Bills and the Dolphins met. And now they meet again, square off today in week 3. So with that being said, we're going to definitely see how things are going to definitely shape up and look between those bitter rivals, the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins. We're going to give you 5 NFL lock picks, folks. Are you ready for those 5 NFL lock picks? Let's bring on the image, ladies and gentlemen, of 5 NFL lock picks. We're going to give those to you, and then we're going to break them down. We're going to break down in predictions, analysis, ladies and gentlemen. So I think we're done with NFL news, ladies and gentlemen. We went over the injury report. George Kittle, breakdown analysis of 14. Well, we're going to break down those eventually here in a couple minutes. And we're going to go over the week 3 fantasy rankings. Yes, we are going to go over week 3 of the fantasy rankings, folks. And with that being said, I am going to, let me see here. I'm going to share this out here. Bear with me here, folks. Okay, so with that being said, all right. All right. Let's see here. Where is my emails? Right here. Okay. All right. So there's another one I want to download here, and then I want to put on. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to give you 5 NFL lock picks. We're going to go over that. All right. And then we'll go over the week 3 fantasy rankings. We'll go over that. And we'll get you squared away with breakdown analysis and stuff like that here. All right, so 5 NFL lock picks, folks. Here it is. Let's break them down to you. We'll give them to you on this show. And who do we feel has the upper hand going into this afternoon in the NFL? All right. All right, week 3 of the NFL, folks. All right, so let's break them down to you. We're gonna give you 5 NFL lock picks. All right, so here we go. We're gonna give those to you. We're gonna show it out here. 5 NFL lock picks, folks. Are you guys ready for those NFL lock picks? For all my sports gamblers, are you ready for those 5 NFL lock picks? And here they are. We're gonna start off, ladies and gentlemen, with let's go with the Jets. I like the Jets against the Bengals. Later on this afternoon, we'll go with them. We got the Jets later on. We'll pick the Jets against against the Cincinnati Bengals, and I'm going to explain why here in a couple minutes. Also, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to pick the Saints against the Panthers. We'll pick the Saints as a lock pick. Also, I got the Eagles against the Commanders. I got the Chiefs against the Colts. And one more pick, ladies and gentlemen. The Rams against the Cardinals. Yeah, we'll go with that one. All right. There is your 5 NFL lock picks, folks. 5 NFL lock picks. Jets, Saints, Eagles, Chiefs, and the LA Rams. Those are the picks for this afternoon. So hopefully they prevail, and they're a good lock pick this afternoon for all the sports gamblers out there nonetheless. All right, let's go over the Week 3 fantasy rankings to all the people that play fantasy football. Here are the showings on that one. Josh Allen is currently, right now, ladies and gentlemen, number 1 in the quarterback fantasy rankings. So yes, Josh Allen's ranked number 1 in the quarterback rankings. Jalen Hurst, number 2 in the quarterback rankings in Week 3 of the fantasy rankings. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Saquon Barkley, Joe Mixon, Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams, Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce, D. Waller, George Kittle, and Kyle Pitts, ladies and gentlemen. Those are your Week 3 fantasy rankings in the National Football League going into Week 3 of the NFL. All right? So again, those are the week 3 rankings. All right. With that being said, again, for anybody that missed the 5 NFL lock picks, they are the Jets, Saints, Eagles, Chiefs, and the Rams. Let me send them to my good buddy of mine, just in case he did miss them. It's always good to stay up to date on those. For anybody that did, we will send them out to them right now here on this podcast. All right. So with that being said, I will send them out to my good buddy of mine here. Let's see. All right. Okay. All right, so here's the 5 NFL lock picks. So I'll send this to all right. Okay. All right. And I will send it to somebody else as well, so he's aware. Why is it a GIF? What the heck is going on here? Let's see. Let's get a gallery update here. Okay, we cannot share the format. I have no clue to why we cannot share the format. I have no idea to why. All right, let me screenshot it here. Bear with me, folks. All right. Okay, so let's see here. Okay. All right. So let me send this. All right. All right. So those are the lock picks. They receive them. They can bet. To all my sports gamblers, feel free to bet on those picks. And good luck this afternoon. Jets, Saints, Eagles, Chiefs, and Rams, folks. All right. Let's go over the games. We have 13, yes. 14 games slanted for today. We got one game scheduled for tomorrow. Again, Thursday night football, ladies and gentlemen, we saw the Steelers versus the Browns. The Browns prevailed 29-17. Your final score there as the Steelers fall to 1-2. And the Browns, they go 2-1 on the season campaign there, ladies and gentlemen. So again, the Browns pick up their second victory of the season on Thursday night football against the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right, and ladies and gentlemen, speaking of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin has confirmed that still Mitchell Trubisky will continue to be the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers for the remainder of the season. There's no quarterback change until he says so, but he is definitely going to be committed to. Mitchell Trubisky throughout this whole upcoming season. All right. All right, folks. With that being said, we got the Buffalo Bills versus the Dolphins. The Buffalo Bills and the Dolphins, last time they met, they really had the Dolphins number. Going into this year, folks, you got two undefeated teams. 2-0 at Sunshine State in Miami. And Miami right now is dealing with a possible hurricane. Yes, there is something brewing down in South Florida right now with a possible hurricane that might be touching down in the next couple days. With that being said, or I think it probably did already, I don't know, but the latest report is that there's a hurricane brewing down there. And things are not looking good for South Florida. With that being said, though, ladies and gentlemen, again, it's Miami Dolphins versus the Buffalo Bills. And the Dolphins have really got the Miami Dolphins number as of late. The past previous matchups and the previous history between the Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills. Now, this bitter rival team here between the Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills, it is going to come down to who's the better team in the AFC East, And who expected the Miami Dolphins, folks? Who expected the Miami Dolphins to be where they at? Currently at 2-0. The Miami Dolphins are currently at 2-0, with the Buffalo Bills currently at 2-0. So, ladies and gentlemen, who expected them to be at this point? And not to mention Tua Tagovailoa doing pretty good. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, they're doing the phenomenal job nonetheless. So it is going to come down to, with two teams, look at the Buffalo Bills, we know what they're capable of. All right? That offense and defense between Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen, folks, was a tremendous performance under the lights, Monday Night Football. And folks, this is what that showing was all about on Monday night against Tennessee Titans, Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill, where they only put up 7 points against the Buffalo Bills defense. And it was horrible performance, flat out. They had no answer for a team that actually had 10 days off. All of a sudden, they come back and they get demolished with no answer, none whatsoever. So with that being said, 41-7 was the final. And again, you have Dolphins and the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills in South Florida. It's tough. It really is tough. Again, it's going to come down who's hungry in the AFC East. I mean, who is the better team in the AFC East? Who wants it more in the AFC East? I mean, will it be a low-scoring game? Absolutely it will. Absolutely it will. I think I'm looking at either probably by a field goal, possibly by a touchdown. But again, it's going to come down to who controls the ball, who plays smart football. Who plays smart football, who controls the ball, and again, who executes? Who executes? Who has a better game plan approach going into this football game? So with that being said, it is really tough, and it's not just tough on sports broadcasters that are going to be calling the game. It's going to be tough not only on sports broadcasters that are going to be calling the game, but it's going to be tough on sports analysts seeing how it's going to factor. And folks, I think this one is going to be tough, but I do like the Buffalo Bills to continue where they left off in previous history, but don't rule out the Miami Dolphins. I think the Miami Dolphins just could come up with an upset here. They could come up with an upset, and they could possibly make things very interesting where it's going to be 3-0. It's okay.
It's way down for you.
Yeah, it's okay.
Few minutes.
Yeah. There's a possibility that Dolphins could be 3-0, ladies and gentlemen, against the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills possibly could be suffering their first loss of the season, just because I think the way the Buffalo Bills are just playing right now, it's shocking. It really is to where they're getting to this point. And not to mention, if Josh Allen is going to be playing at the MVP level this upcoming season, then there's probably a say within this game that Dolphins definitely deserve it more than the Buffalo Bills do. Now, I'm not saying that the Buffalo Bills are not going to have a great performance here, but I think the Dolphins they're going to find a way to edge victory and take a win against the Buffalo Bills here. I think they have all the ingredients and capabilities to do it. They definitely do. Again, I'm not ruling out the Buffalo Bills. I think I like the Buffalo Bills' chances because of their previous history, folks. They have their number. The Buffalo Bills have their number more than the Miami Dolphins do. The Miami Dolphins are winless against the Buffalo Bills. But again, do I see possibly a difference maker here? Do I see a different scenario, a different outcome? Absolutely, I do. So that's why I do like the Dolphins with an upset here. Dolphins could possibly become 3-0 later on this afternoon. All right, so that's why I like the Dolphins' chances here. But I will not rule out the Buffalo Bills. All right, so just because of their previous history, it's really tough. It's tough to predict the outcome and scenario of how this game is going to turn out because it could go both ways. Just because we know what the Dolphins did last week, putting up crazy numbers, putting up crazy video game numbers, and the way the Buffalo Bills demolished the Tennessee Titans defense between the connection of Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. It is crazy. It is crazy, folks, nonetheless. All right. Bengals and Jets. I like the Jets in this one. The Bengals, I think that Super Bowl slump is starting to kick in on them. It really is. Even though the head coach of the Bengals said they'll be fine, they got nothing to worry about, the Bengal fans should have nothing to worry about. But with that being said, I think there's going to be something to be worried about in the city of Cincinnati. With that being said, folks, I think the Jets could pick up their second win of the season, and they'll be going up 2-1 in the month of September, nonetheless. We're still in the month of September. So I don't see why the Jets won't be able, are not capable of picking up their second win of the season. With that being said, the Bengals will fall to 0-3 because I think that Super Bowl slump is starting to take full effect on the Cincinnati Bengals, nonetheless. So I like the Jets going into that football game. Las Vegas Raiders against the Tennessee Titans. Well, the Las Vegas Raiders, they proved that last week. I mean, they let that game slip away against the Arizona Cardinals. But the Tennessee Titans, again, folks, I already mentioned what the Tennessee Titans are. And they are a team that, they're not that team that they were last year, folks. With that being said, I like the Las Vegas Raiders upper hand here. I think they will get the win later on this afternoon. Las Vegas Raiders with a W. Saints and Panthers. Well, Baker Mayfield has proven to me that he is truly not the answer in Carolina, folks. He has definitely proven to me that he's not the answer in the city. I mean, in the state of Carolina. Baker Mayfield is not the answer apparently in the state of Carolina, even though they benched Sam Darnold apparently. And Sam Darnold did very well for the Carolina Panthers last year, where he took the Carolina Panthers to an undefeated season. I know the Carolina Panthers started 5-0 under Sam Darnold, right? So what's the reason that they're benching him all of a sudden this year? Just because they brought in Baker Mayfield. And Baker Mayfield all of a sudden, he lost to the Cleveland Browns in week 1, and he lost to the Giants in week 2. So again, they're going up against the New Orleans Saints. This is a bitter rivalry game here. I do like Jameis Winston and Alvin Kamara to get a W in this rivalry game this afternoon against the Carolina Panthers. So I do like the Saints' chances in this ball game nonetheless. Baltimore Ravens and Mac Jones and the New England Patriots. Well, you know what? The Patriots did the ultimate last week in knocking off the Pittsburgh Steelers to prevent going 0-2 under Bill Belichick. The last time the Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots went 0-2 was back in the year 2000s, folks. They avoided that last week by beating the Pittsburgh Steelers. So the New England Patriots are 1-1. Will they go 2-1? Absolutely not. Lamar Jackson is going to continue where he left off. Even though they lost against the Miami Dolphins, they're gonna come with the revenge, and that loss last week is gonna fire them up. Nonetheless, I picked the Baltimore Ravens today with a victory against the New England Patriots. Detroit Lions against the Minnesota Vikings. Well, you know what? Apparently, Justin Jefferson is not that great against the secondary. I think he got really outplayed, and he got outsmarted against the secondary. I mean, if you throw his way, there's going to be interceptions, and interceptions are going to come pretty heavy. And I think the Lions probably have the answer to do that. I like the Lions' chances here. The Detroit Lions are 1-1. I think they'll pick up their second win of the season. They'll go 2-1. And the Minnesota Vikings will fall to 1-2. Again, I like the Eagles' chances against the Commanders. Carson Wentz will be going up against his former team. Again, folks, for Carson Wentz to win this football game, he has to make sure he doesn't overturn the ball. All right, we know Carson Wentz is capable of throwing interceptions. If he protects the ball, the Washington Commanders have a good high probability of winning this football game. All right, they have the high chances of winning this football game, folks. All right, Carson Wentz and the Washington Commanders could edge out a victory here if they protect the ball and they commit less turnovers. But we know Carson Wentz, he throws interceptions a lot. And Darius Slay, if he was hungry last week against the Minnesota Vikings, you know he's going to be hungrier even more against the Washington Commanders. And what Carson Wentz is capable of throwing interceptions. I do like the Eagles, and they're going to be undefeated again, 3-0 for the Philadelphia Eagles later on this afternoon. Chiefs against the Colts. There's nothing to be said about this game. Patrick Mahomes is going to continue where he left off in the hottest month of September, nonetheless, for Patrick Mahomes. Kansas City will move on to 3-0. The Colts, well, they'll fall to 0-3 nonetheless. Texans and the Chicago Bears. That one's a tough one. I don't know. I mean, does Justin Fields have the answers? I don't know. I really don't know. It all depends on Justin Fields. It really do, and that Chicago Bears offense. Can the Houston Texans edge out a victory on the road? Absolutely. I think the weather should be okay in Chicago. I have not checked the latest weather reports there, but I think they should be good. Let me check actually the weather reports in Chicago. Let's see. The weather in Chicago right now. So the weather report in Chicago right now, it's cloudy with temperature so it's cloudy, temperature 63 degrees in Chicago. The weather should be good. I don't think there could be a spotty shower here and there. It possibly might rain. I don't know, but the Texans should have good fielding conditions in Soldier Field. But again, it all depends on Justin Fields, folks. Again, he's going up against the Houston Texans. We shall see how it's going to all fare out. But I do like the Texans to possibly pick up a road victory against the Chicago Bears in this football game. All right. Jaguars and the Chargers. This all depends on Justin Herbert, folks. If Justin Herbert plays, Chargers win this football game. If he doesn't, then the Jaguars might get lucky. They're on the road. They go to SoFi Stadium. Again, it's all up in the air on Justin Herbert's status. We shall wait and see. That game is scheduled to be at 4:05 p.m. kickoff time. So it's all up on the status of Justin Herbert, folks. We shall wait and see what's going to happen with him. I mean, the latest reports on Justin Herbert throughout the week was he was going to be day by day. He suffered an injury last week's football game. And this week, I think at the hands of the Kansas City Chiefs football game. I think it was against the Kansas City Chiefs. With that being said, though, they go up against Jacksonville at home. Again, it all depends on Justin Herbert's status, folks. He is a game-time decision. We shall wait and see how it's going to all play out. But again, if Justin Herbert does not go, then Trevor Lawrence and that Jacksonville offense might have a shot on the road to steal a victory at SoFi Stadium, nonetheless. All right, the Rams and the Cardinals. I think the defending Super Bowl champions will have no problem going out at the desert, at the Arizona. Even though Arizona and Kyle Murray, they did pick up a victory to stay tight in that division, I think the Rams are just going to be that too good of a team. I don't think the Cardinals are going to have an answer for the Rams. I think the Rams are going to have a great day. Matthew Stafford is going to have a great day. Cam Akers is probably going to get a lot of touches in the backfield position. I think he's going to have a great day against that Arizona defense. So I think the Rams might edge out a victory. They are both 1-1 on the season. So it's again the two bitter rivals in this football game. But I do see the Los Angeles Rams picking up their second win of the season without no problems at all. This should be a good contested battle, and they should be able to pick up a victory nonetheless. Green Bay Packers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This should not be a problem for Tom Brady, folks. Will this be the last time we see these two quarterbacks play against each other? That's the ultimate question. Tom Brady did edge out a victory last week against the New Orleans Saints in a bitter rivalry game. After being 0-4 against the New Orleans Saints, he finally picked up his first victory there. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, for Tom Brady, I think he will have no problem beating Aaron Rodgers at Raymond James Stadium to have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers undefeated and 3-0 to start the season campaign. Falcons and the Seahawks. Well, the Atlanta Falcons, they travel to Seattle. I like Seattle here. Geno Smith, I think, should have a great game against Atlanta. This should be a good win nonetheless. Atlanta is on the road. I don't know how East Coast, West Coast teams fare, but Again, this is going to be a tough contest for the Atlanta Falcons to edge out a victory, not to mention against a good crowded noise, such as the Seattle Seahawks. With that being said, I like the Seahawks' chances here against Atlanta. Finally, folks, the 49ers against Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos. Jimmy Garoppolo against Russell Wilson in this one. I do like the Denver Broncos' chances in this football game just because of the history of Russell Wilson being 17-4 against the 49ers. And Jimmy Garoppolo, right now, he's officially the starting quarterback going into this football game against a Denver Broncos defense. And again, Russell Wilson is familiar with the 49ers. So again, this is not anything new for Russell Wilson. Even though he's in a different uniform, I think he should be able to get a victory. Not to mention it's under the lights, Sunday Night Football game. So this should be a great game nonetheless for the Denver Broncos. They will edge out a victory against the 49ers under the lights at Mile High Stadium. And ladies and gentlemen, the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants. Dallas will be traveling to New York at MetLife Stadium on Monday Night Football. Ladies and gentlemen, I like the Dallas Cowboys in this one. I mean, with their backup quarterback, Mr. Rush, something might play out here. So as far as the Dallas Cowboys are concerned, I mean, I think Dallas should be able to pick up a victory here. Again, Cooper Rush is the starting quarterback while Dak Prescott is healing from an injury. So Cooper Rush, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, last week, ladies and gentlemen, they did pick up a victory against the Cincinnati Bengals. Almost, they let that game slip away because the Bengals came back almost in the second half. But Cooper Rush was able to pick up a victory there. I should see a great game nonetheless at MetLife Stadium between the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants. But the New York Giants, ladies and gentlemen, that 2-0 will fall. They'll be 2-1 against the Dallas Cowboys tomorrow night at MetLife Stadium. So Dallas will pick up a victory. They will also go 2-1 on the season campaign. With that being said, folks, I mean, again, for the New York Giants, folks, if they have no answer for Micah Parsons, it's going to be a long night for the Giants organization, the Giants team, nonetheless. If they have no answer for Micah Parsons, folks, if they have no answer for him, it's over. It's over for the New York Giants. Again, Micah Parsons is the ultimate answer for the Dallas Cowboys football team, and that's how the Dallas Cowboys are going to go 2-1 on the season campaign, nonetheless. So I like Dallas with their heavy chances to pick up their second victory of the season. All right, folks, that is pretty much it. We did talk NFL news, injury reports. George Kittle is expected to play. Jameis Winston expected to play. Alvin Kamara, J.K. Dobbins. Micah Hyde is out, ladies and gentlemen. He's been placed on IR. But ladies and gentlemen, yes, J.K. Dobbins, George Kittle, Alvin Kamara, Jameis Winston, and Justin Herbert. He's still a game time decision. We shall wait and see. We gave you 5 NFL lock picks, folks. It is the Jets, Saints, Eagles, Chiefs, and Rams. We also broke down all games, all 15 games. Ladies and gentlemen, we broke them down to you. We analyzed them. We gave you some predictions. And that is pretty much your week 3 of the NFL. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Have yourself a great Sunday. Nonetheless, have yourself a great work week. And I will see you next Sunday's live podcast as we talk week 5 of college football, week 4 of the NFL. Can you believe we're going into week 4? And NBA preseason, nonetheless. Also NHL hockey, UFC, everything, ladies and gentlemen, that will be playing into place. Also Major League Baseball news going into next week. And ladies and gentlemen, speaking of Major League Baseball wraps up their season on October 3rd, this upcoming week. So you know what that means? Playoffs! Major League Baseball playoffs kick in. And who are your Major League World Series winners? I'll tell you this right now, folks. Here are my picks for the World Series. Either it's going to be the LA Dodgers or the Houston Astros. We're going to talk about that a little bit more on the next Sunday's podcast on why the Dodgers and the Astros are the heavy favorites. I mean, lately, ladies and gentlemen, we have been seeing a West Coast team, a West Coast trend team winning championships. Not to mention, the Las Vegas Aces just came out of a WNBA Finals championship. And not to mention, Colorado Avalanche won the Stanley Cup. Golden State beat Boston Celtics. And the Rams beat the Cincinnati Bengals. So we've been seeing a lot of West Coast trends here. Will we be seeing that from the Major League Baseball standpoint of view? That's because we have a new salary cap era. The salary cap era is way different, folks. And it's taking a full effect. So we'll get more details on that. Again, folks, you guys have been such a great audience. Very blessed indeed to have you guys be a part of this community, interacting, getting your voices heard, chiming in to Worldwide Sport Updates, your live podcast on Sundays of each and every week. Your news, your sports, your local community. Have a great Sunday. Enjoy the sports games that are happening on your Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your work week. I will see you next Sunday. Also, tune into our YouTube channel for your Friday's recorded podcast for all the latest sports updates that are happening across the nation. Wherever you may be across the world or country, nonetheless, thank you for being a part of us. Enjoy the games, ladies and gentlemen. Stay blessed. Take care. I'll talk to you guys soon. Signing off from Lincoln Financial Field, home of the Philadelphia Eagles, Philadelphia Phillies, Philadelphia Flyers, Philadelphia 76ers. Take care, guys. Have a good one. Bye-bye.